of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. This meeting is an in-person meeting at the location listed above, which is 870 Colfax. In addition, a live stream of this meeting is available at the following link. Questions may be submitted beforehand to liz.goodwin@bhas.org or presented in person during the public comment sections as indicated in the agenda. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. Requests for special assistance, including for persons with disabilities, may be sent to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 5:34 p.m. We'll begin with reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have roll call. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson.
Present.
Right. Vice President Bowens.
Present.
Secretary Triplett, present. Treasurer Creighton.
Present.
Trustee Doyle.
Present.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Present.
Trustee Gavin.
Present.
Have a quorum has been established.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I
Hearing
do
none.
have I'm sorry,
Go
just
ahead.
a quick question. We don't have our finance report on here. Unless, I guess this is for Dr. Butts before we vote on this. Just wondered, if it's appropriate for, well, is that what you're planning under business and update, finance update, Dr. Butts? Like for Molly, I just wondered, or,
For Molly to give.
oh,
the
okay,
update.
perfect. Okay, thank you.
All right, Secretary Triplett, please call the roll.
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bowens.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next we have review of our board norms. The Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. Those are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intentions. And I would like to personally read presuming positive intentions. Assuming that others' intentions are positive promotes and facilitates meaningful dialogue and discussion and prevents unintentional put downs. Using positive intentions in speech is one manifestation of this norm. And so these are the Board of Education norms that we utilize when interacting with each other at the table when we conduct our board business, as well as how we interact with the public. We also ask that the public utilize these board norms when interacting with us so we can make sure that we conduct our board business appropriately. But I also wanted to just take a quick second to expound. As the president of the board, I would like to ask that we not only use these norms at the board table, but also in our interactions with each other, in the public, and on social media. Because one thing that's important to me is that we're able to be unified as a board, regardless to whether we agree or disagree on a particular vote. And I have noticed that overwhelmingly majority of our votes, we vote unanimously. There are going to always be times where we may disagree on a vote, but I don't want us to give out the public perception that we are a divided board simply because we have disagreed on one particular topic. So I just wanted to add that and just ask that everyone marinate on the norms. Everyone should have a copy of those in their folder. And I am just hoping that we can work to utilize these in our everyday interactions with each other. Next, we have public comment on agenda items. Our public comment statement. Well, first I'll ask, is there anyone here for public comment on agenda items? All right, so you can come forward. I'll read the statement. The Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 2 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items and open public comment. Is that mic or mine? Okay. Can we do something about that? Okay. We request that each interested participant complete a public participation form using legible writing to ensure that responses are appropriate and properly focused. Per Benton Harbor Area Schools Bylaws 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments with your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once on the same topic until any other persons have had the opportunity to speak on that topic. Participants may remove their masks when addressing the board. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. Please ensure that your public participation form includes your contact information as requested. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. Thank you for your patience. You have the floor.
My name is James Sims, raised in this community. And like you mentioned, President, social media is in the eye of the beholder. And what brings me here today is that I wanted to take time out and speak to you individually as a group instead of trying to reach you by way of social media. It was brought to my attention on being more concerned with the boiler replacement. And I did raise that concern, and I did stress and express myself on social media. But I never gave the reason on why it's so heartfelt of this replacement to take place. In short, I am of 5 generations with this school. My great-grandfather's little brother, Dr. Harzell Taylor, graduated from this school, retired dentist. My grandfather, James Means, graduated from this high school, a retired firefighter. My mom graduated from this school, retired from the state of Michigan. I went to this high school and retired from the city of Benton Harbor. My daughter graduated from this high school in 2006, representing the city of Benton Harbor as Miss Benton Harbor. This success story, wonderful. But you know what we have in common? That boiler. Now, 20 years ago, my little brother almost got suspended in the mid-90s, arguing over the need to wear a coat to a classroom. So now here we stand, still trying to get heat for our kids. Now that was my main focus, heat for the kids. But I myself worked for Cook Nuclear in the ice crew. The highest temperature, 32 degrees all day. I worked for the city of Benton Harbor Public Works and Water Department, wintertime. The teachers and staff in this building have to go through the same things that I went through, working at Cook Nuclear Plant, working for the city of Benton Harbor Public Works in the wintertime. It's unfair. I can't see it, having the experience myself dealing with cold weather, and then for a person to teach our children in similar conditions. It's unfair. Those are my concerns. And I'm glad that you put it back on the agenda. And I'm really looking forward to moving forward and voting yes and getting heat for our children 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Forgive me, treatment, say they have mine. I'm so off. I want to thank you for this opportunity and I won't take up much of your time. And I'm in a hurry because I have another meeting of grave concern for our community with some other people from across the country. This issue keep coming up with these broilers. And as an elected official, not even a board member, for years now, I can count way back to 8 years. I've gotten pictures from teachers, not even just the high school, but some of our other schools as well, of the children sitting in class with the coats on. It's ridiculous. And we're at a time and era now to where, how can we expect for others to care for our children? They look like us. All of us that's in charge look like our children and in charge and have the power and the finances finally to get something done. Now, I'm reminded of last month or the month before, and I forgot, I had the pleasure of superintendent was there when our senator, Peter, our senator, oh gosh, did a press release at City Hall.
Gary Peters.
Yes, Gary Peters. And I asked him a very important question. It was about, you know, we have all these billions coming down the pipeline for infrastructural things throughout the country. My main concern though was the human infrastructure of our hearts and minds, emotions and stuff. Because all this other brick and mortar stuff, it just is. And it's going to take us being in a right, healthy heart and mind, body and soul to even work with putting together brick and mortar or brick with mortar. It's time out. We live in a community that serves the whole earth with the greatest appliances. Where's the air? See, this is they both go hand in hand. We need air conditioning for the summer for our children that need to be in summer school. We need heat in the winter because we live in a 4-seasonal state. And we cannot keep putting Band-Aids, just like our streets, as a city elected official, filling a pothole that will be needing to be filled next week. We got to stop doing the same thing with these old broilers. It's time to start building anew in our community. If we expect for others to, how can we if we won't do it? And we have the charge and power to do so. And I just want you all to take that into consideration. And I thank you and appreciate you all.
Thank you. Anyone else for a public comment on agenda items? You have the floor.
All right, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. It was brought to my attention too about the boiler and before I came here, I Googled how much it costs to fix a boiler. And it wasn't that much money, really. So my question is, can we fix this? I mean, and my friend brought to my attention that the perfect time to get it fixed would be over the summer while the children and staff are not here. I don't know if that's enough time to get it done. It makes sense to me, but I just feel it's 2023. I think it's time for us to take care of each other. It's time, we should have heat by now, 2023. Wouldn't you agree? I think we should have heat. We got cars out there with heated steering wheels, heated seats. Can we get heat in the school? I mean, I think it's just like, it's almost like a human right almost in a way. You know, the kids deserve to have heat when they come to school. Now, they may not have it when they go home, but at least maybe they'll have it when they come to school. And that's all I have. Thank you.
You have the floor. And just to clarify, we asked for your name and contact information. In the event that you ask a question in your comment, we can follow up with you with that information. You have the floor.
Yeah, my name
And
is-
welcome,
Hi,
Mayor Pro Tem,
Thank
to
you.
the
My-
Board of Education meeting. I don't know that I've seen you this year.
I've been there quite a few times, I just haven't been there lately.
Doing suits.
My name is Dwayne, Duane L. Seats Jr. My address is 1149 Salem Avenue, Benton Harbor, Michigan, 49022. Graduate of Benton Harbor High School. Let me suggest this because I hope I'm late, but I hope I got it straight. We're talking about heat. Is it every school or one school? Have we got an estimate on how much it costs? Because people are saying, let's go ahead and do it. But in order for you to build a house, you got to first count up the costs. If you don't have the money to give kids books or after school or whatever, they can't take paper home. And you talking about kids need heat. You know, some of these kids, if I knew would help them, I would go out and buy some heaters for every room. You know, I think Lowe's or Home Depot will put some heat in every room if it was gonna help somebody learn. But let's not get stuck on things that we don't know how much it costs. Because if you don't know how much it costs and you're not providing estimates, that's the key in doing any kind of business. When you take your car to go get fixed, you don't just say, fix it. You ask how much it's gonna cost. If you're getting a roof put on your house, you don't just tell the roofer, get up there and fix it. You ask them how much it's gonna cost. When you go to Burger King, McDonald's, when you go to Texas Corral, wherever you go, you don't just say, just give me some food. You ask them how much it's gonna cost. Everything comes with a price. And when you're spending somebody else, it's easy to spend somebody else's money. You know, I'm gonna sit down, I only got 50 seconds. But I done took a lot of people out to eat. And when they find out they're not paying for it, they'll order anything they want. I know y'all ain't gonna like that. I know that don't sound like y'all ever took somebody out. But I done took people out to eat and they say, well, I don't want nothing, I don't want nothing. Then when I say, well, I'm gonna pay for it, they say, well, let me get the T-bone. That's what happened. So if you don't have the right information, then how can you just say, go fix it? And you don't know how much it's gonna cost. That's my only statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment on agenda items? Thanks to everyone for your comments. We'll proceed with the agenda. Next on the agenda, we have approval of meeting minutes. Normally, I would do this as a consent agenda and we would take the vote on all of the minutes together. However, being that I was absent from the 3/11 meeting, I'm going to do that one separately so that I have an opportunity to abstain because I wasn't present. And then we'll do the remaining minutes as a consent agenda and approve those the way that we normally do. So at this particular time, I'm going to ask, is there a motion to approve the special session minutes from 3/11/2023?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bowens. Questions, comments, or concerns regarding the special session 3/11/2023 minutes? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett,
President Robinson,
I abstain.
Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yeah.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, at this particular time, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve regular session minutes for 3/14/2023, closed session minutes for 3/14/2023, special session for 3/16/2023, and closed session for 3/16/2023. 1 and 2, so there were 2 sessions that we did within that same particular window. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there a second or support? Support. The motion was made by Secretary Triplett and supported by trustee Rocket Martin. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Question.
You have the floor.
President Robinson, I'm asking, do we normally include in the minutes when a board member leaves a closed session or any meeting?
It should be, if they leave and if they exit and they don't return, or if they're not present during discussion, then it should be noted. Do you see a correction?
I believe in the last closed session, some members may have had to leave. I think that was the one.
Okay, Liz, so you're meaning part two?
I believe so.
Okay, does anyone at the table remember?
I'm the one that left. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you left, did you leave during part one or part two?
Part one.
Okay, so you were not present. You left at a particular time during the closed session. Liz, did you take note of what time that was?
Yeah, I just go back and find out. It's actually probably do that one.
Okay, so what I would ask, being that we don't have the time documented, I would request that we remove the closed session for 3/16/2023, both 1 and 2, and proceed with the others until we get the corrected time to notate Vice President Bowen's absence.
I make a motion that we.
I'm sorry, 1 second. What's your question?
When did we start? This is different with the meeting minutes from closed session.
We have to approve closed.
But it won't go online.
It's not online because
Okay.
it's a closed session. Okay, so at this particular time, I'm going to restate what I'm requesting. I'm requesting a motion to approve regular session 3/14/2023, closed session 3/14/2023, and special session 3/16/2023.
So moved.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion is made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Bowens. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? And thank you, Trustee Gavin, for catching that misnotation. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. Yes, Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And as stated, we will move to approve closed session 1 and 2 once we get the time clarification. And we'll do so in our next meeting. Next, we have special recognitions. Mr. Corson would like to do a recognition of the custodian of the month.
Yes, to the Board of Education, I would like to recognize Lucille Johnson in
Can you
cooperation.
speak a little louder, sir?
Yes, I may. In cooperation with Dr. Bullocks and Gurmai Jerome, who is their supervisor. Lucille was nominated and selected as the custodian of the month. And so I am very proud to present her to the board today as Miss Lucille is in the audience for recognition.
Can you please stand?
Bring us to the front.
Yes.
Bring it to the front.
Yes.
Come and shake our hand.
Yeah, she can come around and shake our hands.
Come on, come on.
We would like to shake your hand, ma'am.
We would like to shake your hand. Congratulations.
Your name is Lucille? You got a beautiful name. That was my mother's name.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I would like to ask whether our chair of facilities would like to make a comment connected to the recognition that was just made.
I just want to take this opportunity to say that I am very, very proud of the work that the Facilities Committee is doing. And to our Chief of Facilities and our Facilities Director, Dr. Bullock, and to Chief Corson, I want to say to Dr. Bullock that I really do appreciate you even identifying and making a move like, you know, a lot of times people that do that type of work, they're the ones that really hold it together.
Mhm.
And oftentimes you never hear anything about what they contribute to our schools and to our children. And there was a time when we did not have some custodians, and people take it for granted. And the teachers just almost couldn't make it with the trash and the things in the room. And whenever I can just say, whenever I come into this building, I know Mr. Lucille worked in this building. As a high school looks impeccable. And I just want to say thank you for this. This is what this is the Ben Harbor way. You know, there were Teachers of the Month, and, you know, we acknowledge, our staff was always acknowledged and promoted. So thank you so much for bringing that back to the table. And that is the Facilities Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. So Ms. Johnson she had to go about her way, but I just want to say as well that we appreciate her efforts and the efforts of all of our staff. Next, we have the recognition of the Robotics Tech Tigers 1940 team. It's my understanding that they were unable to be present today, but Dr. Butts did want to still acknowledge them as needed. Dr. Butts?
Thank you, Madam President. Our team has participated in 2 robotics competitions this season and has consistently performed well. At our last competition, the team placed 3rd, which qualified them to attend and compete in the Michigan State Robotics Competition. This is an invitation-only competition held at Saginaw Valley College. Only the top 160 teams across the state are invited to compete. Currently, the Tech Tigers are number 101 out of 636 teams in this state. The community has been very, very generous in helping this team to continue to compete. They have received financial support through several different community leaders. They competed this past weekend in the state finals, but unfortunately did not qualify for the nationals. We want to acknowledge the hard work of everyone on the team, especially the coach, Sophia Mason,
Yes.
who Coach Mason has worked tirelessly to get our team off the ground again. So again, thanks to Coach Mason for helping our team get as far as they did.
All right, thank you. And I would like to say, if you are connected to her on social media, you know she likes to shout out everyone in Benton Harbor that does something great. So I would just like to acknowledge Ms. Mason for being BH dope, as she says. So thank you so much for your efforts. Now we're going to proceed with board business. Just a reminder that as of 9/13/2022, all comments will be limited to 2 minutes per trustee per topic. Next on the agenda should be our student representative update, but it does not appear that neither of our representatives are present. So we are going to proceed with committee reports, beginning with Finance Treasurer Creighton.
Good evening again. I do have a finance report. Our finance committee met yesterday. And so I do apologize that I wasn't able to email it or pass it out before now. I sent it to Liz this morning, but I forgot to email it to the entire board, but I do have a printed copy. Our finance committee had a really good meeting, if I can say so myself. We talked about basically updates, and I don't know if anyone is left in the audience. Oh, a few that make public comments, but we hear you. We're definitely doing everything that I think was mentioned actually, and so that's great. And I'll explain that a little bit later in my report. Molly, our Hunger for Nickels contracted accountant is in the audience. She's going to actually present later, so I'm going to pre-message a few things and then she'll be able to explain them a little more thoroughly. But I think I'm equipped if you do have questions that I'll be able to answer them. So basically, what we decided to do was to provide an update of what they've been doing for the last couple of months. They came on board in January of this year in the absence of the CFO. And they've been working tirelessly to go back to basically the fiscal year, which was started in July. And so they've been just working, trying to make sure that those records were updated so that they can then kind of make them official as all the numbers in the school year kind of coexist with each other. So in order for them to be comfortable, I'm not gonna say that they did an audit, but they kind of just analyzed the documents and signed off on them. And so that's what they've been working on. So they did provide the first quarter report, which is the 9/30 report. And so if you look at the key points, some of the highlights that they've been working on, I'll just run through them. They've assisted with the audit of the RFP. They've been working on the ESSER 2 budget, which we completed ESSER 1 and spent that money. And obviously we have to go in order because the deadlines, it's better to spend from 1 and then 2 and then 3. And so that's basically what they've been doing. The ESSER 2 budget revision is completed. The first cash drawdown was made. Quote me, but don't quote me. I think it was $12 million. And so that report was turned in on 9/30, and those financial reports have been reinstated. We're working on some transparency reporting for compliance to make sure that everything is being done with fidelity. We've been researching and making sure that the procurement and AP processes are in place and being followed. And so a lot of what happens is that spending and accounting is not just spending and keep tracking of spending, but there's a procurement process, which means that you're following the guidelines that are attached to the funding source, which is very important for the compliance, especially since we do have several grants. And it's been difficult in transition because we don't have a finance director and or a grant accountant. So they are filling in the gaps and they're doing a really good job. I think the biggest lapse of time has just been filling in and trying to transition without a person to transition you. So it's basically like a quick example would be if you walked in the kitchen, in someone else's kitchen and you started cooking, you have to kind of feel your way around the kitchen, get used to the pots and the seasonings and where everything is. And so that's pretty much what they're doing. So we do thank you for your grace and mercy in this transition. They have formalized the bank reconciliation process and trained some people to be able to kind of step in and do what needs to be done in Benton Harbor area schools. And that was done between January and March. And so now April, if you notice, they've had their work cut out for them as they are preparing now. I guess it's two things that's going on. We're still operating, right? So they have to still live and work in the present, but we're going back to July to make sure the budget and the financial reports are reconciled and completed and certified. So that's kind of the two moving parts right now. So April right now, working on payroll back to October. Provided an analysis of payroll and forms and audits. So all this jargon, pretty much doing what needs to be done again to make sure everything can be certified and signed off on by their agency. And right now, they're actually looking at the budget and the federal guidelines to make sure that we are where we need to be. I think what we talked about, we're about 75% through the year. And we've used about 66% of our budget. So we're actually in good, we're in a good space. We just have to make sure that the procurement process and all the guidelines are being followed. Some things to look forward to in May, working on the ESSER 3 budget and the budget review, which some exciting news will come out of that. and then building and amending the entire budget so that we can get and fit in everything else that we said we were going to do with the money, that just with the absence or transition, we possibly didn't get to order or purchase or get services just yet. And also then start forecasting and looking at our next school year budget for our 2023 and 2024 school year. So they are working. We are understaffed, but they're doing the best that they can. And I think with their entire team on board, that we're definitely in good shape, even if we don't always feel like it, because we might not have the questions answered day to day. Again, we had a really good meeting, and so I feel a lot better about what's going on and the condition of our finances. Some of the priorities right now is to secure a full-time CFO. We talked about some ideas on how we could possibly get that with the support of the Michigan Department of Treasury. So we're looking forward to pursuing some options there. Also working on state aid and making sure that all of the money is still coming in. Again, we're still working on ESSER 2. Once that's spent, then we'll start working on ESSER 3. So one of the good things that we talked about is the boilers. And I say that with a big smile because we pretty much, I don't know how to say it, but we're pretty sure that we should have, depending on, how much they cost, we should be able to move some stuff around and fit that into that budget and or I want to say this right, 31A and 61A. Did I say it right? I think those are our two funding sources. So between the three of those, we're confident that we'll have the money. I need a clap or something. We'll have the money to get new boilers. And we do have sinking fund dollars. It's an estimated $8 million uncertified number, but an approximate number in the sinking funds. And so it's exciting. We do have money. We just have to be proactive. And hopefully our staff report will pass from our facility / finance committee to start the RFP process so that we can actually get an estimate for brand new boilers, all the bells and whistles to make sure that they're supported. We don't want to get new boilers and then put them on old pipes and then, possibly avoid a warranty or whatever. So we're definitely looking forward to that and really excited about that. Our facilities committee, our admin, and our superintendent is really excited. Molly is excited to know in advance what some of the wishes are of the board, so that from a financial standpoint, as she is budgeting and revising budgets, she can kind of figure out where she and her team can figure out where we can get the funding to actually finance this. And so it's exciting to be in good shape as a district and to be fiscally responsible for the things that are being done. We don't have to beg and borrow and ask for handouts. We just have to plan ahead. So this does not mean that we're going to go and purchase new boilers tomorrow. It means that we're going to do it the right way, which is get an RFP, hopefully, and get some estimates and some bids, and then move forward in the process, secure the funding, put it into the budget, and move forward. So that's exciting. I'm excited. If no one else is, I am. It's just like one of those things, if you know what you need, then plan ahead. I'm in a similar situation at home. I need to get a new HVAC system, and we've known since the fall. And so it's that time of year that we have to go ahead and sign on the dotted line. And so it's just one of those things that you have to do to protect your assets, right? And so it's exciting. A few other things just to quickly mention, janitorial supplies. So as we are celebrating having nice facilities and celebrating our employees. We're also looking to make sure that they have what they need. Someone cracked a joke and said, it's hard vacuuming with a broom. And so we're going to make sure that we include, and so it's possible that we might request a special meeting once Molly and her finance team work with our facilities team. The facilities committee came to the finance committee with an ask to get new janitorial supplies. And so we're looking forward to having those quoted out and fit into the budget and the budget revision so that we can move forward with the ordering so that we can have nice, clean, shiny facilities over the summer to receive our students in the fall. So we're really excited about that. So that's a pre-message. We might in a week or so need a special board meeting before our May meeting so that we can get these things ordered as she fit them into the budget. I already mentioned the sinking funds. In this whole thing, she is working as soon as she get a good get things organized, then we're going to come up with an AP process, the purchasing process, accounts payable process for purchasing so that we can have a more streamlined process to put in a request and actually get things ordered. So we do realize that it's high on the priority list, but there are some emergencies on the priority list that we're trying to get through, fortunately and unfortunately. And also, we didn't forget about the financial reports. Again, just like everything else, just trying to make sure that things are flowing correctly as the business office structure of doing things are restructured. So that when we do get a new CFO, the transition will be seamless and it'll be easy for someone to step in and continue to do the good work that Hunger for Nichols has started. And then one last thing that was mentioned, Dr. Butts mentioned the CTE. He thought I forgot. He mentioned, so again, the HR committee and the curriculum committee has had some conversations as well as the board about funding positions. And so Ms. Molly also is working behind the scenes with Dr. Butts as they are revising the budget and working with principals to make sure the principals' needs are being met and the teachers' wishes are being considered through this whole pipeline. They're working to find funding for the CTE full-time position. Very hopeful. Again, it looks really good. And one thing that we know is that it might not be a CTE director per se, because when using funding, we do have to make sure that we're not paying for something that's in existence. And so we don't currently have a CTE director, but we've had one. So we're looking to get an administrator in some sort in CTE full-time to continue the great work that Ms. Wydell is doing with her team and the high school principal and Dr. Butts. So it's really exciting to be able to make the whole thing come together. And sometimes, we don't see it coming together, but my grandmother used to say it's a method to the madness. And so don't get caught up and distracted by the distractions, just stay the course of the race. And I think we'll be okay. And that concludes my long report. I do apologize, but it's a lot of conversation and hot topics that we want to make sure we cover. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Treasurer Creighton, for that detailed report that you provided. I'm not certain whether there's any additional questions because you did give us quite a bit of information, but I would like to pause just in case there's any follow-up. Thank you very much. We will proceed. Next week, and I just want to thank you all for the work that you're doing. As a member of the Finance Committee, I know it's not easy. We had to get in there, roll our sleeves up and understand exactly what was being communicated to us. So I applaud the current committee as well. And I thank you for your effort.
Thank you.
This is your third year as chair.
Yeah, it's my third year, but my first year with no CFO.
Right. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next we have the Human Resources Update, which is being provided by the Chair, Vice President Bowens.
Good afternoon, or good evening. HR discussed, we had a short, simple meeting. So I'm trying to pull up the notes. We had a presentation on the vital need for teaching and learning and how that is helping us as a district. We discussed two positions that will be coming, teacher cadet and fashion design, which were board approved. However, they also discussed that one of the other school districts in close proximity has teacher cadet, correct? So we may have to change the name or something of that. So we won't be in violation.
Paloma used to have teacher cadet. Do they still have it?
Or St. Joe,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Marvin may be able to add to the clarification needed.
Yes, the only thing that I'm aware of that's close by is an educational general pathway CTE program at St. Joe. As far as the teacher cadet class goes, any district can have a class.
Okay.
Yep.
I know that was mentioned in there. They also asked about, is this something new? And we explained, back in the day, I see 3 or 4 teacher cadet participants, that was in the CTE program from trustee Creighton to.
I was a teacher.
He was a
Oh, yeah,
teacher.
she
I was a
came to serve
cadet
my
and a teacher.
I'm
Yep.
sorry, I'm
I
sorry.
was a proud student.
Deshauna, President Deshauna and former trustee Bradley. We also discussed that the staff and principals were informed on proper requirements for accountability of staff. So if we're trying to hold some of these staff members accountable or our principals accountable, we have to make sure we're following process and streamlining the process. And that was a directive from our president to make sure that they are following that. The search is still on, as trustee Creighton said, for our CFO. And that was it from our discussions. I do see that we just got an opening that we'll be voting on that was not discussed, but yeah.
And just to add, we also, Chief Waddell joined us and went through our, what is the track called? We have 3 different ones. TNTs, the
Yeah.
difference between the different levels of our TNTs that we have so that we as a committee can be aware of the differences in the different requirements and the progress that they've made. So that was something that was really nice for us to learn. And did you get that email to everyone or was it just sent to us?
I'll go back and check, and if it wasn't sent to everybody, I'll
Okay.
send it out.
All right. Thank you, Vice President Bowens. Any questions or comments? Trustee Gavin.
Thank you through the chair. I was wondering if this committee did any work into the audit of the HR department?
No, we did not do that in our committee meeting.
We have previously discussed that at previous meetings. And at the last meeting, I did inform the board that it was brought in. Currently, there's not any, we were advised that there is not any funding to produce an audit for our department, but if there is any funding that we find available, we welcome that.
Any additional questions?
I do have a question.
You have the floor.
Since this was something that was voted on by the board, I just wondered, Dr. Butts, are you aware or has anyone sought out what it would cost to do something like this so that it can be in the budget revision?
So what I've asked for is what all is being asked out of the audit so that when I call, I can make sure they can give an accurate quote. So we'll work on that in the next HR committee. So that way I can bring it to the finance committee.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I do want to.
You have the floor. It's your time.
Okay, I do need advice that our total instruction and certified positions as a district, we have 107. Teachers, 49, teachers in training, 46. And with certified positions, that vacancies, we have 12. So that's with how many teachers and TNTs we have, and that's the breakdown.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Total instructional certified positions, we have 107. Teachers, we have 49. Teachers in training, we have 46. Certified positions, vacancies, we have 12.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions?
I have a follow-up question,
have
President
the floor.
Robinson. Just trying to understand, was there a quote given for the cost? I'm trying to understand how we know we don't have enough money if we don't know how much money it costs.
This is trustee Bowen's segment, so he has to either answer or give the floor.
Again, as I've previously stated, we did go to the committee. We asked our staff, our executive staff and the administration. They advised us that there is none. There is not allowable money. There's no money available. So at this moment, they did state that they would work with Dr. Butts to find it. Once they find it, they would have an audit implemented, and then they would bring it to the board. But as of right now, when we asked about it, they did tell us that there's none. However, our previous HR director right now is currently on leave. So we're dealing with the interim on staff. So we're juggling with limited staff and limited information.
And then I would just like to clarify, Vice President Bowens mentioned the advisement that I made, and it is from our last meeting where we had some HR things that we were attempting to accomplish. And I just asked that they take a look at those files and employee records to make sure in the transition that we are with HR that everything that is needed that needs to be in the file is present, so that we don't have any records or documents that are unaccounted for. So I just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions for the HR committee or Vice President Bowens? So we will ensure that we work on the audit in our April meeting, because we're in April. Did we? Yeah, in our April meeting, and then we'll follow up with the board. All right, next we have our curriculum and SPED committee with our chair, Secretary Triplett.
We had a robust curriculum committee. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Chief Waddell for presenting. I hit the wrong one, okay. I'm just going to give you an overview of the areas that are topics that we discussed and our next step. We set our protocol on all of our different areas that are placed on the agenda. We want to make sure that when we finish with that particular area, that we also include in our notes the next step. Okay, and so the topics that were discussed in our meeting, and you all have received this, you can get more detail. I'm going to give you an overview on it. But I also want to say, I see that all of this money is going into facilities, and everybody finding all these monies for their committee. Let me put this on the record. Chief Waddell.
Shade.
Chief Waddell, while they passing this money out, I want you to put your wish list, as they call it.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, pull your things together seriously. I'm joking and what have you, but I'm just excited for the fact, because I know it was frustrating for our chief last year, you know, and previous years, just to try to get things that she needed for her to be able to really honestly do her work effectively and efficiently. And so, you know, the main purpose of school is education. And these other things we must take care in order for, but our teachers need to be made whole. And our director, our chief of curriculum, along with our superintendent, who is always available at any time you call or have any questions, and is kind of really astute in the area, you know, for us to be, you know, it has been difficult. There's a lot of things for 2 years as a Board of Education, and a lot of times we are not able to report out to the public, and it's irresponsible for us to report things out that we don't have the facts for. So we, you know, we're talking about, well, what kind of money do we have when you know that we have Hungerford up in there working, trying to pull things together. And so they have, as they stated earlier, that they've been doing the work. And so now we can kind of like see our way through on some of the areas that things and stuff that we need to work on. But we're going to go through our PBI. We talked about our PBI in Benton Harbor area schools with Dr. Bernick leading the work. We did say that, you know, we're moving kind of slow. We don't have time to move slow. We have people in the district, Dr. Burton, Maurice Burton, myself, and our committee that have expertise that's still here. And so that's something that we discussed in our curriculum committee, you know, as they bring the things forward, because we do have a lot of new staff in these positions who may not know some things, but what the great thing about it is that our board is full of alumni. Our board is full of former teachers and administrators and what have you. So sometimes, you know, like you said, micromanaging and accountability, you know, that thin line that's between there, but they have been very receptive in taking our suggestions and what have you. So the PBIS in Benton Harbor area schools is moving forward. I think Dr. Bernick is doing a great job. We talked about the time frame for rehiring of our literacy coordinator at the elementary level, which we just accepted her resignation, I think, at the last meeting. So Chief Waddell, they're on that, pushing that and making sure that that happens. The senior and junior class projects, Mr. T. James, who was working at the high school, is working with a group of students, and they have a student project. We have not gone to saying that this is a senior project or that we're going to start requiring students to do senior project, but that's something that, you know, we are discussing to see how that might look, you know, in the future. We did get a presentation of a draft calendar for the 2023-2024 school year. We talked about, we wanted to, when we look at that, we made clarification as it related to East Day and how we would move forward, you know, having some more conversation on how we would go forward, making sure that that is included in our calendar. But there's some things that have to happen as it relates to this becoming a total district initiative. And moving it from how would that transition look, moving it from the high school. So that would include all elementary and middle school and our high school. So we're working on that, and hopefully in May, we'll be able to report out with some information. We discussed about the limited course offerings and our students retaking courses as our students who are members of our Board of Education. We are in the midst of discussing that and making sure we make the necessary adjustments and how that might look so that wouldn't happen. Our amendments, we talked about, we're going to add Swahili and remove Latin, and we did make sure that this would be recognized at the state level, that it would be a recognized credit. And so that was confirmed that it is, and it would fall under the category of foreign language. Adjust our semester to a year-long courses for the discussion, and we're going to remove earth science as an 8th grade course. So we really did get down into some curriculum concerns and curriculum solutions in our meeting. Our HIV prevention, communicable disease, sex education, Chief Waddell gave us an intense report, and it was very clear. So if you guys would go through on what she sent you an update on the 2023-24 planning for implementation of the HIV prevention and sex education for grades 4 through 12. 2023 summer school program, what's happening. We were given specific updates and where they are at this particular point so that that information would get out to our community, to our students and to our parents and how it's going to look. And we did, discuss with the roles of the teachers and all the different people who would be involved in the importance of inclusiveness. You heard information about the CTE director. We are all in agreement that we do want a CTE director. And so in order for us to be able to come to that, to be able to just confirm it, there's a lot of different things that we have that needs to be in place as it relates to identifying a director. And again, we have Trustee Gavin on our committee who served this district in the CTE department division. So she's very knowledgeable on that. So we're, that's a plus. We haven't really dove down, but I think that it is understood that it is a desire of this Board of Education that we want to identify a CTE director, and that is at the forefront. Funding for CTE public awareness campaign. And we also discussed Michigan Virtual University, some of our concerns. We had an opportunity to go through, and there'll be more information coming forth because we were concerned about the number of students and the failure rates. So our chief of academic is going back in, and they're doing some things to make sure that our students are able to be successful. This is a part, I think this is one thing that's very, very critical when you're talking about turnaround. You try something, you step out there and you try things. And just because you try those things doesn't mean that they're going to always be successful. And that's what turnaround does. Okay, we saw that. It might work for somebody else, but it really didn't work very well for us. And so I think that we have at our leadership in the areas of academics, we have people in that position that are willing to be at the table, and we're still reassessing our superintendent and our chief of academics. A previous and current intervention plan, and there's going to be, support. So when you look at it, you'll be able to click on the links or what have you, who's going to support the thing, because we're just not going to allow this to happen where our students just didn't get what our chief felt they should have received. Okay, in the area of instruction and what have you. So it's coming from her as well, that, that was the concern. I appreciate you presenting that to us so we would have some information, some understanding, so we just don't hear it on the street. When we come to the table, the children come to the table, and I appreciate our student Board of Education members being able, given the freedom to express what it is that they feel and what's happening. Because a lot of times when you're up at the top and you're not boots on the ground, you don't really get a chance to see and know everything. So those were things that came to us, and it's being addressed. I want the community to know that those things are being addressed. And our partnership agreement plans and updates were provided. Our interim, we did go forth with the CTE director, the interim, in the status and where it is right now, in order for us to be able to continue to have someone in that position that would have to sign the documents and the things necessary for us to even do the things that we're doing right now in CTE. That basically concludes my report, because some of my report was given along, some of the things in my report was given along with the finance, from the finance committee. I mean, I wasn't throwing shade but I was saying, and I said that to say this because this is being fiscally responsible. And so when you have these people that's sharing and knowing these different things, sometimes, she knows, the chairman of our finance department, because like I said, you can't move and you can't do anything if you don't know what's happening with your finances. And so that was something that we can really, really count on with our president, our chairman of the finance division, making sure that we are on point when it comes to those areas.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Any questions for the Curriculum and SPED Committee? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to.
I'm sorry, I got one more. I just would like, I hope the board.
You can continue, and then after that, you can proceed with your facilities update.
Okay. I hope you guys get an opportunity to look quickly, because these field trips are coming up. They're coming up towards the end of the year. And we need to move on it for our children with their field trip. So, sometimes just like the finance committee was able to have their committee meeting the day before. And it held up some of the decisions that we had to make in facilities. But we wanted to make sure that we were on point. But these trips will be coming, in the spring, they're going on their trip. End of the year trip, elementary gonna go to Deer Forest and all those different things. We have certain policies, be on top of your thing. I encourage all of us to be on top of that policy as it relates to overnight trips and students are going out of state. And that was something that Treasurer Creighton really, really pushed. And we must inspect what we expect. And so it's a very simple fix. And I appreciate our chief and our superintendent making sure that when these things come before the board, this Board of Education, that they are proper, they have been vetted, and they're on point. So we won't have to have 1,000 different questions about what it is we use the proper documentation and all of that. And if we do not, it will be challenged. But thank you so very, very much. So I can go into my facility.
Yes, sir.
A lot of my facilities, I want to say that I am really, really proud to be on this committee. I want to thank Chief Crutton and Director Bullock came in on the ground running. And I can see it. I can see some of the things that is evident when you walk into this high school in particular. For me, now walking here, I feel pride. I feel like things are being accomplished, everything that we asked them to do. And Chief Corson has been working with Dr. Bullock, because we know, a lot of things. What we found out in our facility committee meeting was, as Dr. Bullock said, we don't have to always ask others. There's some things that we know. And I think Dr. Bullock had gotten off the call, off of the meeting, but Dr. Bullock is very knowledgeable. Some great information was given to us as it relates to what was going on with the storm on April the 5th, and gave us a building update, like on social media, the school is flooding from top to bottom and water and everything. Well, that wasn't true. There were some areas in this city, when you drive in the city, anytime there's a heavy rain, just everywhere is blocked. So why do people have a problem with it happening here? I just so happened to be out that morning. It had only rained a half an hour coming up this hill. It was flooded all the way to the lot right there. So we have encouraged our facilities director to make sure not just only is these issues with Ben Harbor High School, but there's issues with the city and what's going on in the city. We're talking about drainage and how do we, at what point, where do we start? Where do we meet? And what is that they need to do and what is it that we need to do? So this kind of work is actually being done. Andy Egan is we're working with Andy Egan on analyzing sewer and drainage routing problems. As a matter of fact, they were out there. So that's going on right now, and we're going to have some information to report. And Andy has been working with the district for some time now. Is that not correct? Okay, so he knows our boilers, he knows Ben Harbor area schools and what have you. Also, we felt that it was important that we needed to establish protocol, processes, and procedures. How does it work? What purchase services threshold, procurement guidelines, and policy? How do we follow the RFP processes? And Treasurer Creighton is going to assist us through the finance department to develop a procurement quick step document with protocols, processes, and procedures so that we know that we are on point. Like she, excuse me, she stated to us, she does not know a lot about procurement, but there's some things that she's learning in her position, because you can't just do things without having an understanding. So everybody is growing. It's like a living document. We're learning, we're finding out things as we go, but we wanted to say, because we're getting ready to have monies are being pulled down. So we are going to have money that we need to spend as it relates to our facilities here in Ben Harbor Area School. So we need to know all of this stuff prior to, so won't be any hiccup. So that was a great part, and we're still going, that's gonna be, there will be updates on, so us getting an understanding of what it is that we need to do so that we bring it before you all, we will know. Within our policies and our procedures as well. Next step as it relates to the master plan presentations, we want to double back on the RFP for master planning to check on possibility for additional presentations. We've had a couple of people who RFP about leading up in the master plan work. We also discussed that, South Bend is in the midst right now. South Bend Community Schools, they're a few steps down the road, because there's a lot to it. You talk about master planning. Clay, they talked about closing Clay High School, but Clay has a strong alumni. And so now when you talk about these plans, you might say, well, we want to close this, we want to close that. But we still have to include our community. And so we asked Chief Corson and Director Bullock. We're looking for somebody else. We do have, of the ones that did RFP, we have one that we basically feel we would feel comfortable in bringing it to you guys so you all can see it, of the two that presented to us. And we kind of like vetted, well, this one of them, and made a decision which one we wanted you all to see. And to give you an opportunity. So we still put it out there so we can at least have two, and you guys to be able to look at it and say, this is the one that we really think that we want to go with. The one that I think that we looked at was very detailed. It also included educational components. It had 7 components, which I never even thought about when it came to a master plan. They were talking about education. They said, well, okay, your curriculum has to be a part of this because you guys might want to have science lab. So we need to know when we talk about what do these facilities have? What do you need to have the things that you're saying? So it was absolutely amazing. But we still want to make sure that we give an opportunity for you all to see and be a part of it. Updates needed. The legwork must be done prior to implementing a plan. So that's what we said we were going to work on. We're going to put out, but we didn't want to put it out, the RFP. We wanted to bring this before the board as it relates to the boilers and what have you. As far as the boilers are concerned, we are not looking to find anything to repair. We've been there. These boilers are extremely old, and we know that they do not have, some of those things they do not have parts for. Okay, and at this high school there are 3 boilers. So we're going, we put out after tonight's meeting, they're going to put the RFPs out because Treasurer Creighton, we wanted clarification. And she wanted to know, first of all, if we have funding. And if we do have funding, with our sinking fund, we also, how can we use, I think Trustee Gavin had mentioned, and some of you all had mentioned about the ESSER fund. We talk about, we have money. When we talk about the ESSER fund, there's some things we have to be careful with supplanting. That, things that has to work out of the general fund that you cannot supplant, but also with the ESSER funds allowed us to do some supplanting in certain areas. And so our superintendent stated that because we were able to use things that would have really been a part of the general fund, that left the general fund to have us more money available to be able to do some things. Okay, so we're not looking to fix any boilers. We are looking to replace them all. In particular, at our high school, we did get a quote of $200,000 for Fairplain East. We also found out that, and when we talk about the new boilers, we're talking about everything that goes around it. If there's some areas of asbestos and those type of things that need to be taken care of, we're talking about vetting, piping, whatever is necessary. Thanks to our director, who is knowledgeable of these types of things, we're making those transitions. We appreciate that. These are all, when we talk about a new board, we're talking about everything that has to happen in that place to replace these boilers at the high school, to replace the boilers at Fairplain East, since we are using Fairplain East. And we did find out to this Board of Education, to our surprise, that hull Elementary has the newest boiler. Her boilers are 2 years old.
Not two, but
Yeah, because
What-
we've been here 2 years. It can't be two.
not two, but a couple, less than five, I think.
Okay.
Okay, well, it was told to me 2, and then maybe you guys have had another meeting and gone to the next level.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I just don't recall an approval of a
Huh?
boiler for her.
I mean, seriously, it was 2.
I think it was 2 years old when it closed down.
Right, okay, so
That's
yeah.
what it was.
That
If
makes
what it was,
sense.
That's where the 2 years came in, so, yeah, because I was shocked.
Yeah.
It's going on the 3rd year? Okay, good, so we weren't here. All right, but anyhow, that school has the newest boiler in the whole district, but that school was closed down. So we also talked about, okay, in case, if our school, they start working on a boiler, we're gonna work congruently, how would the plan look that if we did have to move students, what do we need to do in the summer to get her ready to transition students while another school is being worked on? So that right there is something that we're talking about. How do we make this transition and make sure that we ensure that our kids are all right? Chief Corson will put together a staff report for the resolution, and it is on the agenda after we got the report back from the Finance Committee. Dr. Bullock will present condition of boilers in non-occupied buildings. We asked them to go out and to look at every building, which includes Hull, Slaughter, Paraplane West, Paraplane Northeast, Paraplane Northwest, Boynton, and Henry C. Morton. So that's going to be a responsibility. So now we're going to do an assessment on all of our properties as it relates to our boilers, okay? The custodial update, we got a presentation and we discussed it. Again, it's a blessing to have the chairman of the Finance Committee to make sure that we had the monies available, but our custodians are in here working with limited resources. You know, haven't had anything new. They're actually sweeping and those types of things. So we got some things that we need to be doing. When they get this new equipment, they've gone through, they're going to have state-of-the-art equipment, so there will be no excuses for our buildings. And if they're doing this with brooms and regular mops, when they get these floor cleaners and scrubbers and all of these different things, and one thing that we will definitely make sure that once these things are purchased, that there is some accountability, that they do not walk out of that door. And this right here, it's been some things that this is down through the years. We had custodians that, you know, they'll take the tissue and, you know, people actually got in trouble for those kind of things. But I think Director Bullock has put some things in place. You guys got an opportunity to meet Lucille Johnson, who was our custodian of the month, and Edwina Love was last month, but she got caught up in the long meeting, and by the time we got to Edwina was gone. So we wanted to make sure that we do acknowledge and give her an opportunity to be acknowledged. So we will to Director Bullock and Chief Corson, as you heard in the finance report, we're moving on that. That's going down with the flood, put some urgency. You know, with the pipe breaking and what have you, put some urgency, and we want them to really be able to clean with our COVID funds, because COVID is coming back up. You know, it's hyping back up and what have you. So we need to make sure that our facilities, and they have what they need to keep our facilities safe and clean. And that basically concluded our overview. I did forward this to you guys, and you can look. If you have any questions, please feel free.
Any questions for the Facilities Committee? All right, you have the floor, Vice President Bowen.
I do we were also informed that one of the problems that we could occur with the broiler replacement is some companies do not like to, remove them? What was it said, Trustee Creighton? They don't like to haul out the old ones.
I didn't hear that.
Well, I think I did. It would be, so that could incur some more cost unless, it's a big job and some don't even want to deal with it. So I'm glad that we discussed that and we are following the board's process and policies. And I'm thankful to serve on that committee and hear that. That's it for me.
And I think there was a trustee Gavin.
Thank you, President Robinson. Chair Triplett, thank you for that presentation and for sending that information over. I'm happy to hear that there is a quote of $200,000 for Fairplain East and that we've been working for Andy Egan for quite a while. I'm wondering if you had even an old quote for Benton Harbor High School spoilers?
This is what shocked me, trustee Gavin, with the last director of facilities was here. They were saying to us like it's $23 million and it was going, we just kept hearing $23 million, like it was just so astronomical. And so it kind of threw us off a little bit, you know.
Mhm.
And so we were working with that administration, you know, no point, no shade, you know, it was what it was. When they came before $26 million, $23 million, this was prior to our director of facilities came on board. And then our superintendent is knowledgeable in those areas as well. Because with the storm, I just wanted to share this with you, with the storm and what have you, there were some things that were, some lines that was placed in Benton Harbor, by Benton Harbor High School. It was the wrong wiring. But and that's why it's so easy to knock our power out. And Dr. Butts has the knowledge and expertise, and they were able to, along with Dr. Bullock, to go out there and say, no, this is not the right, you have the wrong stuff here. This is a high school. You have stuff that you might use in a two in a double, what they call a duplex, you know, but that's what they have over in our school. So the power went out. So that was the thing that we had gotten. So we were never, now that we look back, we never really got, I don't think that we ever got a true, this is just my team.
So my question was, so the facilities committee never received any quote, even an old quote from the past of the cost of replacing the boilers at the high school?
The facility committee would get reports of it, but a lot of things that we were getting at that time, it was almost like what was being presented to us, we were getting things to fix them, to patch them up. But I never saw a report myself since I've been on the board to say like what we're doing right now. You know, I've never seen that.
Okay.
So,
I have
okay,
a
but I'm
comment.
quite sure this is what we can do, Dr. Butt. Can you,
May we ask Dr. Butts, I'm wondering, because he has access to those old files, if he has received an old,
you can ask Dr. Butt.
thank you so much. I didn't want to, I want
No,
to be
you can ask,
respectful.
you know, if that's something you
Dr.
want to see,
Butts,
we got it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dr. Butts, had you received even an older quote for the cost to replace the boilers at the high school? And
You
if
can
so,
answer and then
around
I'll
what,
go ahead.
around about how much was that?
So what I saw from a previous board meeting was a quote for univents to be put into the high school. And that was back in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And it was $35 to $38 per square feet. It was incomplete, but the total that they gave us back then was $5 million.
5 million?
Yes,
So
ma'am. Plus or minus approximately 5 million. Yes, ma'am.
$5,200,000.
Huh.
Approximately $5,200,000 if you looked at the high school. And
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so much.
Comment.
My-
go
oh,
ahead.
go-
Okay, so we're gonna try to restore order to the floor. I'm not sure if trustee Gavin is still asking a question for Secretary
I
Triplett.
actually did have another question about the lead that kind of, I was kind of thinking about that too, wondering if we, if there is some plan for addressing the lead here. And then also, I know we have some schools in township that may have some concerns. Just wondering if we have a plan for that as well.
Dr. Bus says he has an update on that.
With the new hydration stations that we got from Aquafall, those water stations, those hydration stations that we put throughout the district are filtered to are made to filter out all the lead. So we were able to we were able to get all those installed in all of the buildings. And now the students can use those without any fear of lead being in those.
Great to hear. Thank you.
This is still your section.
So, if anybody else have anything?
Treasurer Creighton did.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things that did come up, and I think, Secretary Triplett mentioned this, and Dr. Bullocks, pointed it out, being, expert, if you will, in the field of construction, is that we're not sure what was requested, by the last team. And we're aware again that even if we get a brand new boiler, we have to make sure in that quote that we request not only to buy a new boiler, right? But that we make sure and ensure that the electrical is updated and replaced, and also the plumbing. And so you'll find later on the agenda is an RFP to get this process started so that we can get an accurate quote for exactly what we need in 2023, right? With the highest efficiency equipment that could potentially last us for another 75 years. So, I think I feel good about moving forward. Hopefully the board will support this RFP so that we can start this process and have the most accurate and up-to-date information. And again, if we get a brand new system, it is allowable in our sinking funds and in our ESSER funds. So I'm excited about that.
And the only comment that I wanted to make was in concurrence with what Treasurer Creighton stated. I remember it may have been June of 2021 when we had the grandstand presentation regarding the repairs to the boiler, and the board did vote to approve $200,000 to $300,000, maybe more than $300,000 on just the repairs for the high school boilers. You really have to consider the magnitude and size of this building and the fact that there's more than one boiler in the building. I do remember there being a estimate that was provided, but from my memory, it was not. It was an estimate provided by a person and not something that we had in paper as it relates to replacement of the boilers. But at that particular time, we were trying to do what we needed to do to make sure that they were sustainable for that particular period. It's important to note that we've had changes in administration. We've had changes in facility directors. We'd have to try to go and look through minutes to figure out what was the quote then. Did it include boilers, plumbing, piping, electrical? And so I just want to focus on where we are now. And as Treasurer Creighton has stated, we do have an RFP later on the agenda. And I want to notate, I know we're going to get there. It's not standard that we vote to issue an RFP. That's getting down into the operational duties of the district. However, being that the Board of Education, due to not having the information that it needed, or the majority of the board voted no, I wanted to ensure that we did have the staff report for the RFP present so that it would not be as if the district had issued an RFP, even though the board had said no at that particular time. So we are going to issue those RFPs so that we don't have to try to do the research, figure out, switch it, change it, rearrange it. Was that everything we needed back in 2020 or 2016 or whenever it was? Get accurate totals and proceed at that particular time when those RFPs are returned. So thank you, Secretary Triplett, for providing your update. And next on the agenda, I just want to make sure everyone's aware, we are at 7:02 p.m. We are at the policy committee update. And then after that, I'm actually going to allow for us to take a recess, quick recess after policy so we can proceed with the rest of our business. Trustee Gavin.
Thank you, President Robinson. I will be as brief as possible, considering that I'm dealing with policies. The policy committee is always an awesome meeting. We had an opportunity to meet with our representative from Neola. He was amazing in guiding us through. What I would like to do is just ask everyone to refer to the notes for the details, and I will answer any of those questions once I've concluded our presentation. One of the items that's not on our first reading is a bylaw regarding the student body representative. We had a healthy discussion, but we want to go deeper. We want some input from the community and the board. We would love, I personally would love to see, a connection of our board representative to come from the population in which the student body has voted, meaning their president, their vice president, their student council, so that the students can decide who sits at these tables and they can feel like this is a person who's campaigned for them and they have a better understanding of civic engagement. But we would love for you all to take a look at that bylaw, look at the recommended changes and provide your input on what that will look like. We love our board representatives, and we just want to make sure that the students have a say in who sits at the table and speaks on their behalf. So with that said, I will go right into the policies. And I just want to, President Robinson, in the reading, do I need to, everybody was given these policies and asked to take a look at them?
Yep,
Do I
so
need
the
to
expectation
read?
is that everyone has done their homework
Mhm.
and done the first reading. We kind of go through which policies we're doing the first reading of. If there's anything in the policy that you want to make sure that they pay special attention to, you can notate it. If there's any discussion that we need to have about the suggested changes, this is the opportunity to do so now. But then it gives everyone an additional time frame to further research the policy so that we can come back in the next meeting and take the vote.
Perfect, thank you. So I'll just kind of go a little bit over what stood out in each of those policies. The first policy is the fair labor, is dealing with the Fair Labor Standards Act. There are some additions in this policy that I think are pretty amazing. It's just making sure that the district is providing accommodations for staff who are breastfeeding. So I think that those changes are very helpful. The rest of the committee agreed with them as well. And we appreciated those changes. I invite you to take a look at those as they are linked. The other policy, 7440.03, the small unmanned aircraft systems. There are some requirements in here. We were told that these are legal changes that we needed to adhere to. We did have a choice. So this policy is about flying, what are those called? Drones. Thank you so much. Flying drones over the school. And it is prohibited unless the person has permission from the superintendent. We had the option, and we were told that we have to contact the authorities if this happens. We were given the option of we may contact the authorities or we shall contact the authorities. We prefer to go with may because, this could be a child, somebody that's not, a spy or anything. So we want to kind of leave that at the discretion of the superintendent. So that is the change there. The next policy, 8805, is the flags and displays. This is a policy that there was just some controversy in a district that's not like ours. And so there were some folks who wanted to put all of these extra stipulations on what teachers could have outside of their room and, what flags you can have and all of that. We don't see this as an issue in our district. And so it was told that this is an option as to whether or not we wanted to adopt this policy. And our policy committee agreed that we don't want to adopt this policy. We don't want to put those type of stipulations on our staff. And we trust that the superintendent will do a great job of making sure that, the information that we are sharing is educational. And I invite you all to read it for further details. The last one, policy 9150, is dealing with school visitors. This one was a little more, a little more controversial. This is dealing with sex offenders being able to come on the school property. There's a lot of nuances there. Sometimes you have some issues in which young people are called sex offenders because they're dating somebody that's a little younger than them and they're both high school students. And so what we didn't want to do is just completely ban everybody because some people are kind of wrongfully labeled. And so there are some details in this policy that requires sex offenders to check in with the superintendent's office. Please correct me if I'm wrong, with the superintendent's office or the principal's office. And they have kind of some escorts and some other things just to make sure that we know who we're dealing with in our building. Please take a look at the policy to get the details of it. We did accept the changes that were provided. They made sense to us. They were fair, but I encourage the board to take a look at them and the community as well. Was there anyone on the policy committee that wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I think on this one in particular, I think he gave us an example, like it was a couple. Like, okay, the girl was 15 and the boy was 16. And they were together in high school. And so the parents got mad. And the mother, well, the parents did not want that child, well, the parents pressed charges on the young man. Okay, and because he, you know, and he got in trouble. But the same high school children got married. So they were together, the parents, but they got married. And then they had their children. But their father was on that list. Okay, so we, you know, it's just like we have to have an understanding. And so this was a discussion that came up too. When they say, well, you know, if someone 15 and below, they can't give permission. And if a parent get mad about it, then that boy get in trouble. But then we also had discussion, what about girls who are 16 years old that's talking to boys who are 14 and 15 years old? And this is a situation that we've dealt, because it doesn't matter, but most people just really push the issue when it is a boy. So that's why we wanted to, I think that's why am I not correct, Chairman Gavin?
Yes, that is
Yeah,
correct.
that's why that wording will cover it and give us an opportunity to make some decision. And then, you know, down there where it says where, you know, you're gonna, the language where
gender
his and
neutral.
her, gender friendly stuff. So they
Right,
change
that's-
it, you know, like to there and things like that to be within the guidelines.
Thank you for that. Yes, Secretary Triplett.
Mhm.
And of course, there will be changes to policies dealing with pronouns. And so this policy does allow for us to have some protections in there, but it also gives some discretion for folks who probably should not, who were labeled unfairly, if that makes sense. So this is the first reading of that. In our notes, there's also some other bylaws that we are looking to address, and we're trying to get through at least, you know, 5 to 10 policies, as many as possible during our 1-hour meeting. And I'm happy to entertain any questions that you all may have.
What in the, oh. Okay, thank you so much, you all, for your updates. Any questions for the policy committee? I would just like to notate that I like the idea of the student body representatives being voted in by their peers. I think that's powerful. It really enhances their participation in student government and getting an opportunity to see how it works. So I look forward to seeing suggestions on how to change that language. It could be something really simple. And then you also mentioned before, correct me if I'm wrong, Trustee Gavin, potentially having a time frame or a term limit to their appointment, or how long should they be members? Would it be every year? It would change out based on the.
That's a
So kind of
great,
think
that's a
about
great
think
question.
about those
I'm
questions.
thinking it should deal with the time, it should refer to the time limit that they have in that office.
their
But I'm
office.
happy to hear ideas. We're happy to hear ideas from
Well, no, if it's, and then are we looking at juniors and seniors or just seniors? So it's kind of multiple
I think we
layers.
did discuss about, like, say, for instance, you know, it would be, if you got 2, you know, one possibility might be, okay, if you're the senior class president, because we did talk about the lack of clubs in the school that they started developing the different clubs in the high school. Do you have a student senate? Do they have all of these different things? But say, for instance, if you are the president of the student senate, or you're the president of the senior class, that would be a part of your responsibility. But we also said it should be an underclassman as well, so that the next year, if you just got seniors on there, then you'll have somebody with some experience. So they'll get a chance. If you pick a junior or a sophomore, I mean, you just have to figure that out. But at least when that senior leaves, then there's somebody on there that has been here that can help lead that work. So the underclassmen will probably have a 2-year term or whatever, that term, and, it just have to work out. But I think it's an amazing, I was glad that Chairman Gavin brought that to the table.
Mr. Triplett, are you able to speak into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please,
I am so,
we have people online that's trying to hear.
oh, I'm so
So
sorry.
we're live.
We
It's
were
okay.
talking, we did talk about, like we supported it as a committee. And that we thought that was an amazing idea because the students are the ones that's doing it. And our policy calls for the superintendent to identify two students. And we also discussed how would that look? Would it be a senior? If you're the senior class president, you'll be the board representative, or if the student senate identified and they vote for their officers, a student, like you said, a whole school election, it can fit in one of their elections, but it should be a senior and an underclass. So that when the senior graduates, you have some experience, that person will move up and they'll have some experience or something like, that's just something, that was my thought.
All right, thank you all so
Madam
much.
Chairman, may I?
You have the floor.
Yes, I'd like to say I appreciate Neola and the research and the background that they put into developing these policies, because when you do policies, you have to know how they're going to play out in schools. And so thus far, their policies have been on point. I often would look at my policy book and say, well, we have to now do this. Let's see do they know how it really looks when you start implementing it in the classroom or in a building. And thus far, they have been doing a great job, making sure that what they present to school boards, they also have researched it enough and understand it enough so that when we implement it in our buildings, it works.
One final comment, President Robinson.
You
I
have
think
the
this is
floor.
very important and would be a gem to the board. There was one other, it was a beautiful slideshow presentation, but there was one other point that was made. Their Michigan Association of School Board works closely with Neola, and they have attorneys who are at our disposal. So a lot of times when I'm looking to get something done, I connect with the attorneys first so that I know what I'm talking about. And we also have that opportunity as a board to do that as well. So I just wanted to make sure for free, wanted to make sure that you all knew that that's available to you.
Okay, I know we're gonna take our break. I do want to say that Neola, this organization, they follow the laws of the state, which is rapidly changing. So it's not like they're writing our policies. They're making sure, tonight something might change tonight. They are making sure that we are in compliance. And so when those of us who have gone to the Michigan Association School Board conferences and what have you, a lot of times people think that Neola is making the policies up. They are an organization that makes sure that your policies are current and that your policies are legal. And that's what they do. They give you a guidance. So they have their own set attorneys and all of those different things. And we did also say, we want to thank Liz, if I may say so, for the Liz, thank you so much. Liz is really our 9th board member, but we want to thank Liz for what she do. And that very next day, I think it was the day after, I came to see the superintendent and Liz, and I didn't get a chance to tell you, Chairman Gavin, he was in there with Liz. And they were making sure that so she could understand what it is and be able to present it to us. So thank you, Liz, for all that you do. We couldn't really do this without you and your position. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So I look forward to, as stated, we've completed our first reading of policy 6700, policy 7440.03, policy 8805, and policy 9150. Please ensure you do your homework, read through the policy thoroughly if you haven't already done so. Triple read through it if necessary so that we can be prepared to vote to approve this at our next meeting. And then also look forward to receiving the update regarding bylaw 0141.1. I would challenge Dr. Butts and possibly Mr. Corson, who's over student support services, to make a suggestion as to the language of that change and then bring it before your policy committee so that they're able to kind of have something to start with. And at this particular time, it is 7:18. We have had a very robust committee update. And I would anticipate, given the amount of conversation and updates that we've provided, we should be able to get through everything else on the agenda very swiftly. So we are going to take a recess if no one disagrees. And we are recessing officially at 7:19 PM. We'll return at 7:30. Conversation and discussion that we've had at the table thus far, I would anticipate we're able to navigate through the remainder of our agenda fairly quickly. So at this particular time, we're going to pass the floor to Dr. Calvin Butts, who is going to begin with a selection of auditing firm.
Thank you, Madam President. We put out a proposal, response for proposal to over 20 firms and to the public. We received one bid back. We did call around to several firms, the issue being capacity. A lot of firms are at capacity. So for tonight, I'll be asking the board for consideration of a approval for an auditing firm. Reason for board consideration: purchases over $28,048 need board approval according to the most recent State of Michigan Department of Education threshold. Facts and analysis: for the last several years, the accounting firm of Hungerford and Nichols has been performing the district's annual financial audits. This past year, Hungerford Nichols has converted their engagement with Benton Harbor area schools to consulting services that include a review and potential adjustment of various business office activities. This engagement has disqualified them to be an objective entity as required by government financial controls. The district released a request for proposal for auditing services for the next 3-year period. The district staff posted the RFP in the Herald Palladium, as well as personally inviting over 20 firms to participate. The district received one bid in the timeline outlined in the RFP. It is recommended that the board award this work to Gabriel and Company for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Policy reference 6320, purchasing. Strategic plan reference: facilities operations. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommended action: that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education vote to award the financial auditing services to Gabriel and Company for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2023, 2024, and 2025, the costs of which have been outlined in the proposal.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report S1?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Treasurer Creighton, would you like to be the support?
Mhm.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Treasurer Creighton. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Quick add,
You have the floor.
we did adjust the date, so it's for 2023, 24, and 25. It's been corrected on the digital copy. And then this is about a $15,000 to $20,000 increase from our last contract, but with inflation post-pandemic and the history of us working with Hungerford, I think we had a lower rate, but at this time, this is something that we would like to move forward with as a finance committee.
Thank you for your support
Mhm.
of staff report S1. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns?
President Robinson.
You have the floor.
Thank you so much, President Robinson. Through the chair, I was
I can hear
wondering, I want to thank you, Dr. Butts, for letting us know about the process, your RFP process. I'm glad to know that you have one and you're on top of that. I was wondering if you had an opportunity to reach out to the National Society of Black CPAs and send that request to their site as well?
Yes,
And
Yes,
how
ma'am, we
that
did.
went? Did they ever respond? I know that some folks don't respond, even though they have contact information on the sites.
right. Yes, ma'am, we did. I did call and leave a message and we didn't get a response.
Okay, because there was a link on their site in which you could tell them exactly what you were looking for, and they would, it indicated that they would send out a list of accountants.
I didn't see that one.
Looks
I
like
just- I
Liz is
just
handed.
called the office. I'm sorry.
Looks like,
Liz has her hand up for
You
clarification.
have the floor, Liz.
They do not have anyone who fit our needs at this time.
okay, thank you so much for your due diligence.
All right, so at this particular time, if there's no other questions, I'll ask the Secretary Triplett, please call the vote for staff report S1.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, awesome. Thank you. So we have officially approved Gabridge and Company as the auditing firm for 23, 24, and 25. Dr. Butts?
For the partnership agreement update. First of all, I'd like to tell the audience what the partnership agreement is. Every 3 years, the Michigan Department of Education runs a report. Out of this report, they look to determine to see how school districts are performing. It was not done during the years of COVID. This year, they ran at the end of last year, which includes, which will be starting for this year, they ran the report. 51 districts were identified, with that being 156 schools being identified as schools that were needing to be in the partnership agreement. What this agreement is a focus on academics for student improvement, 3% over a 3-year period of time. What we've done through our teaching and learning department and myself have developed a 3-year plan. This partnership agreement is not a consent order agreement, does not involve any financial ties. It deals with the whole child. We were able to invite all board members to participate in the building and the establishment of this partnership agreement. And I'd like to thank all the board members that participated and gave their input. It also goes along with our strategic plan. This partnership agreement is mainly built around the Michigan Integrated Continuous Improvement Process, which is MICIP, which is a district-wide school improvement plan. The principals and teachers were involved when they created their school improvement, their school improvement frameworks, the school improvement framework, excuse me, because they changed the name from SIPs to SIFs. So they were strategic in completing their SIFs to go into this district-wide improvement plan. So with that being said, that is a 3-year commitment to this plan. With this 3-year commitment, we have an 18-month benchmark. With the benchmark, what we will do is go back to see if we're on track. If we're not on track, there were several things in it that were concerned to some of the board members, and we did change the language that I've sent out to you. So there, any type of reconstitution will mean that we will go back, review all the documents that we have in place. We will review everything that we have in place, decide what is working, what is not working, reallocate funds, look at the curriculum, and make sure that our staff is being supported and that they have what they need in order for our students to be successful. After the 36-month period, we will determine whether or not we've made our improvement for the state. So with that being said, that is what the partnership agreement is, and it aligns with our 5-year strategic plan, which our 5-year strategic plan is a condensed version of the 3-year partnership agreement, so that they will all be continuous and braided together, so we would not have to come up with anything new. The 5-year strategic plan also had stakeholder input. So as far as the community involvement with that, the community was already involved when they did the strategic plan, because the way we did the partnership agreement was strategically put the strategic plan in the partnership agreement, so we wouldn't have to redo it all over again. So with that being said, that is the update for the partnership agreement and the strategic plan kind of braided together.
Thank you. And before we break for questions, I would just like to thank the trustees that were able to attend, as he stated, specifically those of you that I had to reach out to sometimes with short notice to ask if you were available to hop on a particular meeting for me. So I thank you all for your flexibility. You all jumped in like superheroes to ensure that we had representation. And I know that it was extremely important to the board that everyone was aware of what this agreement was, what it is that the district was committing to on behalf of our students. So I thank you all for those. I think majority of us were able to participate, and I'm extremely grateful. I know that Dr. Butts mentioned that they are willing to have a representative come here and talk to us. The deadline for the agreement to be submitted is,
April 17th.
and that is what, Monday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the deadline for him to submit this to the state is the 17th. He did double check and verify that it does not require board approval, but it does require my signature. And you all know how tight I am with my signature. So it's extremely important to me that this is an agreement that you all feel comfortable with and support. And so I did not know if you all felt that there was a need for the representative to come and speak before the board. If that's something that you all want, it would have to be done this week because he has to get it submitted by the 17th.
Question.
You have the floor.
They were doing a draft audit of it or review? Did it already go through that phase?
Yes, ma'am. They've reviewed it.
Okay.
We've changed the language to make it less
Punitive.
punitive. Thank you. Much less punitive.
Any additional questions or comments from the board?
Just one other.
You
point
have
of
the floor.
clarity. Yep. And I could be wrong, but I thought that it did require a board vote in order for you to then sign it. Is that not?
So that's, honey, you don't mean to call you honey at the table, but you know how I am. I asked him, with me signing this, does it require a Board of Education vote? And
Okay.
I allowed Dr. Butts to speak to the response that he received.
So since it came from the state of Michigan and it is a requirement from the state, it does not require board approval. It does require the board president's signature. So that was why I asked if they would want to come back to explain that, to make sure that, you know, that there was an understanding for that.
And if you all have, I know you all have been in the meetings. If we're in a place where we're comfortable, I'm perfectly fine, even if we did an amendment to just show that the district is in support of this, so that we all are in agreement with my John Hancock going on the document. Secretary Triplett.
I think trustee Gavin had asked, and I kind of like felt like it was something actually Ms. Chapman, if they had somebody, or could they come down and present to us? And she said, sure, but she would need, because they do have 151 other schools.
156 schools.
Yeah, 156 schools, but that she would be willing if it fit within that time frame. But it is very important that we understand that once this is submitted, there is no turning back. You can make the adjustments in the area of how you're going to get there. And so I did want to report out, as Dr. Butt said, some of the language, the board, I think that we need to really read this like quickly. And if there's any concern that we have, you know, even if we're talking to the board president individually, or you know, we can do it in 3 so that we do not have a quorum established before, and I appreciate the board president saying, I do not want to put my signature on this, and then it flip around, she put her signature on it, and then we got people that does not agree with it.
I'm stingy with that signature.
Yeah, and the thing about it, this is one of my concerns, and I have not done it, but I'm going to reread it, because I do not want any any punitive consequences. I don't want the teachers to feel that if our teachers don't do this, they're going to be terminated. And, you know, these were the kind of discussions that we had. Because then that goes back to a consent agreement. And they assured me that this was not that. So why, and my question came when we put it together, when it was presented to us, why, who put it in there? Who told you to put this in there and to put it in there in that manner? Because, and I, you know, we'll have to finish having that discussion because number one, for me personally, and having experienced it from a teacher's perspective, and what we have, you know, it's very hard to hold people accountable when you don't have certified teachers in there.
Secretary Triplett, please wrap up your comment.
Okay, it's very hard for us to hold teachers accountable and not hold central administration accountable. And and I mean that. Because if you can't just come and be punitive to them and nobody's holding them accountable. Because they are the ones that's leading this work and making sure that these people are supported. So please, seriously, please read this. All of us sit down and read this through thoroughly. And I noticed that they also said, Madam President, that they asked us about partnership. And that we didn't have partnerships, what partnerships that we have in there, and the board need to look at that. Because we cannot partner with any and everybody. We cannot, because we have too many people subliminally working against us. Okay, and it doesn't have a look. So people, and for me, I see too many people having access to our school and to our system that I know is working in other areas to pull our students, getting our parents, getting our kids out of our district. Thank you.
Madam President.
I think Dr. Buss wanted to provide a clarification. Then we have Trustee Gavin that had her hand, and then we'll go to Treasurer Creighton.
And just to clarify, Secretary Triplett, I did put that language in there to include central office all the way down, myself included.
Trustee Gavin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My concerns, first of all, I want to say that I am really grateful for the staff and everyone who put this together and, you know, in addition to all of the work that you're doing. I know you're carrying a lot and I'm very grateful for that. My concern is the board's responsibility to ensure that the school and district community is meaningfully engaged in the implementation of the partnership agreement. And I'm a firm believer in making sure that the community is engaged before we sign those dotted lines, before we commit ourselves. And the state was very clear in saying that once you sign that dotted line on the 17th, that is what it is. And so, you know, for me personally, I think, you know, the meeting that I attended, it only took about 45 minutes to go through that entire agreement and to explain what it was and what it meant. And I believe that the community should have an opportunity to participate in that, to see it, to hear it, and to know, and that we as a full board, those who are interested in attending, should have that opportunity together to review that information before the 17th, before we commit our entire district to this contract. I think it's very important. And I appreciate the changes that the administration has made. And also, I think it's important for us to comb through it very seriously as a board and as a community before we agree to something that will be in the newspaper. You know, they will report how we do on this. We have to understand that that's going to happen.
Treasurer Creighton.
Yes, I was going to first thank everyone for the hard work, and then if we could take maybe just a couple moments, if someone could highlight the major changes that took place, I think that we might need to pay close attention to since last week. It might be helpful in feeling more comfortable. Were there major changes made through the recommendations of that review? Or was it just a matter of tomato?
No, ma'am.
No, you have the floor.
Thank you. If you go to page 8. For school accountability measures. Where it goes from A through E. Those were the aspects that were changed to become less punitive and more inclusive, and it also puts more responsibility back on ISD, instructional support, for me to look at the curriculum, the budget, instructional and non-instructional staff, and then inviting the board back in to take a look at the entire, that portion, if we do not meet our 18-month benchmark.
Okay. Anything else major?
With us doing that, I can say that we're kind of setting the bar for the state as far as the way we've written ours and the way we weaved our board members in and out of the meetings, because that wasn't done through the state. So they're now making that a mandate for the state. So we're kind of leading the efforts in this partnership agreement for the other 51 districts and 154 schools. Excuse me, 151 schools, because we got 5 in there.
Thank you. And if I just, I guess another, if I still have a couple seconds left, I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say, I'm always excited about money. And so one of the big things that I think I appreciate is that now, once this agreement is approved, we can then apply for more funding to support initiatives of the goals that we put in here. And then keep in mind that we can change the direction or the way that we get there, but we have to, the only thing that's a non-negotiable to be changed are the goals. And so I appreciate it to know that if a few months in, 6 months in or whatever, we decide, you know what, this path is not working, we can change the path. We just can't change the goal. And so
Correct.
I was excited to know that.
And that starts on page 18 where you are, Treasurer Creighton.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep, page 18. Thank you.
Okay, and when Dr. Buss was making the comment of us leading the state in this endeavor, it made me remember that Eric Hopstad sent a letter commending Benton Harbor area schools. And I forgot to print that for you all, but I'll read it very briefly. It says, "Dear Superintendent Buss and Board President Robinson, as you both are aware, Benton Harbor Area Schools is currently developing a partnership agreement in response to the Michigan Department of Education federal accountability process and resulting index rating of the district. Central to being assigned to the agreement is the development of goals to improve student achievement. The purpose of this letter is to commend the Benton Harbor Area Schools Partnership Agreement team for the work that they have done in development of the agreement, particularly the leadership of the team. The work reflects a skilled assessment of district needs, corresponding goals that are matched to identified needs. All this work is being completed while still attending to other district responsibilities. This reflects the ongoing commitment of the district as it seeks to inspire students to become self-directed learners in an environment that promotes collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking skills. This is only possible through the collective efforts of staff and a Board of Education that is committed to excellence and an unrelenting commitment to improvement. Baron Risa recognizes that due to legislative changes, the agreement is fundamentally different from plans that have been developed in the past and is committed to supporting district-chosen goals and strategies to improve outcomes for students. Once again, thank you for the hard work, and Baron Risa is here to support the district." So I just want to commend our leadership team and our Board of Education, because they don't send out letters unnecessarily. So I just wanted to make sure that you all receive that. And there was a question that I asked at the start of the conversation that has yet to be answered. Are we in a place where we want to try to hold a special meeting this week for the representative to come in and speak with the board so that the district can move forward with the submission of the plan? Or are we at a place where we are comfortable with the plan as it stands? Because I don't want to try to find a special meeting and no one feels one is needed or plans to attend. Trustee Gavin.
Madam President, I am in firm support of us having a special meeting just to make sure that we know exactly where we stand and exactly what we're getting into with the state present and all of us present in the community having an opportunity to see this information as well. I think that there are some, in that section, there is some information about school closures, and I think that they need to be very explicit in the document, stating that this will not be that. So I'm in support of a special meeting so that the community can hear that and we can get that in writing as well.
Okay, so I am not going to try to task us with developing that date. I am going to assign Liz and Dr. Buss to touch base with the representative to see what availability they have prior to Monday. Because it really is based on her and when she can come and touch base with us and then update the board so that we can all try to make adjustments to our schedules if needed to be able to be present for the meeting as well as invite the community. We only need 18-hour notice to invite them, but of course, we don't want to try to do it tomorrow. So if you all could keep us posted on what works for her. And given that she knows it has to be submitted Monday, I'm pretty sure she's aware that it would be at some point this week that she may need to come in. You have the floor. You have to speak in your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at Appendix C, 18 and 19. When I see, so those three areas for each one, that's the same wording in the goal area, but it's just for MLK, and then you got it for East and for Ben Harbor Heights.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we will make an effort to reach out. Can you remind me of the representative's name that is willing to come in?
She's Executive Assistant Director Gloria Chapman.
Okay, so we will reach out to check her schedule for this week to see if we can get an additional meeting for clarification for the full board. This will also be helpful because I believe there may have been maybe one or two trustees that were unable to sit in on the actual personalized meeting. And then we'll proceed from there. And that will help me to feel comfortable with signing on behalf of the district. Secretary Triplett.
I think that she also did mention, because I was at that meeting, that she could come in on Zoom, so she wouldn't have to drive down. So do we have the technical ability for her to be on here and us be able to ask questions? So if coming down would be a hindrance for her.
So if we were to do that, and I'll let him to speak to what the capabilities are now, because I know we're live, but if we were to give her an opportunity to communicate and have two-way communication with us, we would also have to open up two-way communication with the public in that particular meeting. And so the question is as to whether we have the capacity to do that when we're in person and she's on virtual and allowing public comment. And it looks like Paul is saying we don't at this particular time.
Not two-way communication.
Okay.
We have the technical capability to do one-way communication right now, but two-way right now with our audio setup and everything will be detrimental.
Okay, so we would have to do it in person. And Liz and Dr. Buss will follow up on that. We're gonna keep it moving right along with the strategic plan update, Dr. Buss.
It was braided in with the.
Oh, okay, we'll move forward with Middle City's trustee designation, staff report S2.
Whereas Benton Harbor Area Schools is a member of the Middle Cities Risk Management Trust, having duly executed the membership interlocal agreement and declaration of trust on July 1, 1987, and whereas bylaws of the trust require appointment of a designated trustee and alternative trustee as the district representative to the trust board of trustees. Now for it is resolved. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong portion.
Well, it's
first.
okay. You can read theirs and then we'll go into our.
Okay. It is resolved that Paul Corson is appointed to the district's designated trustee representative to Middle City's Risk Management Trust Board of Trustees, and is authorized to cast the district's vote on all matters which come before the board. He shall serve as a trustee until replaced by this board on its absolute discretion. Dr. Kelvin Butts is appointed as the district's alternative trustee representative to the Middle City's Risk Management Trust Board of Trustees, and is authorized to cast the district vote on all matters which come before the board should the designated trustee representative be unable to attend a meeting. He shall serve as the alternate trustee until replaced by the board in its absolute discretion. Furthermore, Paul Corson is appointed as risk management coordinator for the district as provided in paragraph 8 of the interlocal agreement. Paul Corson shall serve as the coordinator until replaced by this board in its absolute discretion.
So what Dr. Bush just read was the standard resolution that they provide, but our staff report S2 is what actually goes along with it that we're taking the vote on. So you can proceed.
Submitting for board consideration, the organization from which the district purchases multiple lines of insurance coverage has requested that a trustee and alternate trustee be appointed to represent Benton Harbor area schools. This is due in lack of a CFO. The district purchases property, fleet, liability, and other forms of insurance coverage through the Middle Cities Risk Management Trust. The bylaws of this trust require that a trustee and an alternative trustee be designated to represent the district on matters that go before the Middle Cities Risk Management Trust Board. Policy reference none. Strategic plan goal reference, facilities operation. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommendation action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education vote to approve as presented the resolution for the appointment of Paul Corson as trustee and Dr. Kelvin Butts as an alternative trustee to the Middle Cities Risk Management Trust.
Is there a motion to approve staff report S2?
So moved.
The motion has been made by trustee Rocket Martin. The motion has been seconded by Vice President Bowens. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
President Robinson.
You have the floor.
Okay, Dr. Buzz, can you explain this to me like I'm a fifth grader? What would Mr. Corson's role be?
Yes, ma'am. So in this capacity, typically the CFO is on the board of trust. What they do is they manage all of our insurance for the district. That is our general liability, that is our fleet coverage for our vehicles, that is for the different buildings, et cetera, throughout the district. In the absence of a CFO, our former CFO was the trust, and our CHRO was the alternate. In their absence, we are in need of a person to stand in their stead. And as it reads, it's by the board discretion. So once the CHRO returns from leave and or we hire a CFO at the board discretion, we change those people in those roles.
My last question is there, because this normally is a CFO, the CFO usually sits in this position. Are there any, is there a financial knowledge or awareness that is usually expected when you are doing this type of work in representing us?
This is at the board level. So when they're making their board rules and recommendations, so this wouldn't require like a finance background. And if Mr. Corson had any questions during that board meeting, he can defer to our legal counsel for support.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for, and just to clarify, they sent an email to the district to remind us that we needed someone in this seat because we didn't have those, our former CFO and our current HR staff present. So the district had to appoint individuals so that we can ensure that we're in compliance with their expectations. Secretary Triplett.
So when we do get a CFO and then if the HR person comes back,
Then we can
then
amend
we
it.
go ahead
Yep.
and amend it and make the adjustment. And so when you talk about insurance and that department having that kind of adjustment with Chief Corson being over facilities and those things that would be, I think it would give him an opportunity to have some knowledge to pass on to his team. So I think it's like it'd be a good placeholder for right now until we get those positions filled.
Yes, sir.
All right, Secretary Triplett, please call the vote for staff report S2.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
No.
Trustee Doyle, Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next we have the business and finance update. I know that Treasurer Creighton provided an extensive update for us. Part of Dr. Bus' update includes staff report S3. So I will grant him the floor.
I will go straight to the staff report, Madam President, since Treasurer Creighton gave us a robust update. So for reason for board consideration.
Order. I thought I was having your back.
You did a great job.
Yeah, I don't have to do it today. So without further ado, I don't have to do an update. Reason for board consideration: to clear up any confusion from previous requests and with collaboration from both the Facilities and Finance Committee. Thank you for both chairs. The superintendent is requesting that an RFP, request for proposal, be issued for the replacement of boilers at both Fairplain East and Benton Harbor High School. Facts and analysis: the district will issue a formal request for proposals to secure services to replace the boiler systems at both Fairplain East and Benton Harbor High School locations. Proposals will be reviewed by the district leadership review team. The superintendent will bring forth the recommended company for board approval. Policy reference 6320 purchasing. Strategic plan reference, facilities operations. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor area School Board of Education votes to allow the superintendent to issue an RFP for boiler replacement at both Fairplain East and Benton Harbor High School, and to bring forth the recommended firm for approval.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bus. And I also, before I call for the motion to approve, I want to ensure that it is understood at the table that we are not setting a standard to require a board vote for him to issue a RFP. But as stated, because the majority of the board felt as though it did not have information to vote for an approval of boilers, I do not want it to appear as if I'm sorry.
No, that was consensus.
Oh, okay. I did not want it to appear as if the district was doing something against the board's decision in issuing the RFP. So we're trying to move forward in decency and order. So at this particular time, I'll ask if there's a motion to approve staff report S3.
President Robinson, I move to approve staff report S3.
Is there a second or support?
Support. I do have a question.
Okay.
A comment.
The motion has been made by Trustee Gavin and supported by Treasurer Creighton. Questions, comments, and concerns? Treasurer Creighton, you have the floor.
It's committee is misspelled and then in the first paragraph. And then I just wondered, so I know that this is not a requirement, but just for clarity purposes, a purchasing of new boilers, right? And then all of the support, is that understood? Okay, the pipes and the electric that Dr. Bullock's mentioned.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
And then I think another thing, you mentioned that some of them, part of what you're asking for is, can you remind me of the term? For the individual units?
Univents.
Univents. To see what the quotes for univents are, which is heating systems in individual rooms, correct?
So what the univent system is, in the south, we have them as Klingons and they're on the outside of the building. Up here, I noticed in the north, you all have them on the inside of the building. And what they are, each individual room will be able to control the heat and the coolness in the room. So if some people, it's like a hotel room. So if some people are not naturally hot, they can cool their rooms off. If some are naturally cold, they can warm their rooms up. So what we want to do is make sure that we're being fiscally responsible. For the high school, we will put out 2 RFP two RFPs, one for Univents and one for boiler. For Fairplain East, it would just be for the boiler replacement.
All right, and then there is an edit that's needed in the final paragraph, recommended action, replacement is misspelled. We can get that updated so our records can be in decency and order.
I do
The-
have a
you have the
follow-up
floor.
to my, I just wonder for procurement purposes, if the replacement, or can we just say to purchase, can we make sure that the terminology is correct in our RFP to make sure that we are purchasing new boilers? If we can just make sure that we put that in there, the purchasing of new boilers, installation, you might want to spell that out in the RFP.
Yes, ma'am. It'll have
Okay.
to be in order for it to be
Yes.
sinking fundable.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And then lastly, once RFPs are returned and administration makes a decision on what it thinks would be in the best interest of the district for our needs as well as cost effectiveness, the superintendent will bring the suggested RFP back to the board for consideration and approval. So at this time, Secretary Triplett,
I'm sorry.
you have the floor.
Robinson. I was wondering if it is feasible to add some type of deadline in this, like for approval within 30 days or 60 days, so that we're making sure that nothing gets in the way of this and we getting this done within a certain period of time.
You have the floor, Dr. Butt.
Yes, ma'am. We always put a deadline to it. When we put them out, we also, just like we did with the auditing firms, we call up the firms, we put it out in the Herald Palladium, and we give a deadline to it.
Is it generally 30 days or 60 days?
It's normally 2 weeks to
Yeah, I
30,
think
right?
no-
Like
normally 2
14 to
weeks.
30 max.
Right. 14 to 30 days, so we can make it 14-day.
Okay, so is it safe to add to this staff report for approval within 30 days or less?
So
Is it fair to say that?
So my comment would be, and I'm just one trustee, that I have faith in Dr. Butt's ability to issue the RFP, get the responses and bring it back before the board. If anyone else would like to make the amendment to the resolution to provide a time frame, of course, that's something that we can do, but I think with us voting to essentially say we support the issuance of the RFP, because we don't have to vote to allow him to do it, but we're doing it this time. We are giving him good faith that this is something that they're on top of, but we can further discuss. Trustee Bowen.
Madam President, just for point of clarification, because it is out in the community, I would recommend that on our website, if the district can explain that we are, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And this is a request, because 1 minute you're here, people say, oh, the board voted no, and then they voted yes. And it makes people confused. So I think we should also have a statement on our website that simplifies it for people.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Secretary Triplett, and just so you guys are aware, we are at 8:18 and we are discussing a resolution that we're not required to vote on, but we want to show good faith and support of the superintendent. Secretary Triplett.
We did have an intense conversation, Ms. Gavin, within our committee, public committee and what have you, and we did express the urgency. And so he, like Dr. Butt said, that, was within 14 to 30 days. That's what we have in there. So we did talk about the urgency of the matter. So that, it doesn't have to be, we did have a robust conversation in our facilities meeting, and that this is urgent. We really wanted the RFP to be put out the next day, from after the meeting, but we also felt with Treasurer Creighton saying wanted to ensure that we had money in our funding sources. And so now, that we have that, because they had their committee meeting, I think it was yesterday or something, so they were able to move forward. She knew the sinking fund, where we get this from, how we can use money. So that's why. So within the 14, 2 weeks to 30 days, we'll just use that as our pattern for the RFP.
Awesome.
And I
President
promise to have an
Robinson.
update in my report next month.
President Robinson?
All right, so I'm gonna give you the floor, but after this, we're gonna proceed with only one comment per topic so we can move expeditiously. You have the floor.
I would like to move to amend the motion to include a deadline of 30 days. Being that we all have faith and documentation beats conversation shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so right now where we are is let me get back to it. We are at a motion to approve staff report S3, which was made by yourself and supported by Treasurer Creighton. And so you are wanting to amend the resolution to include the 30-day
Yes, ma'am.
in a maximum of 30 days. So in us doing that, are we saying that we want RFPs due back within that 30-day window? Is that the deadline that we're setting for the RFP?
What is your recommendation?
I'm asking.
So if I will be working expediently on, I know the urgency, and we really want to get started this summer when students are out and make sure that we can get a company that's not already booked. So because I know of the sense of urgency, I don't want to tie any contractor's hands when they're looking at their schedules as well. So I will do my best, but I don't want to limit us either by putting a hard deadline with a board hard deadline. I can put it in the RFP, but if we voted in as a hard board deadline, we may only get 3 companies that will exceed our budget.
Madam President,
You have
I
the
know
floor.
that, and I think, I guess we probably should have mentioned this. Dr. Bullocks also mentioned that, this is not a matter of going to the car lot and looking at a new car. Like, this is going to be some extensive work that will have to be done. The plumbing will have to be analyzed and assessed, and also the electrical. And so, I would like to, if Ms. Gavin is gracious enough to just move forward with the resolution, as it is, and, be committed to putting it on the agenda for an update next month. I think that's, fair, but that's my opinion.
Trustee Gavin.
I believe that we should get in the habit of setting deadlines for ourselves. And if 30
Okay.
days is is
So at this
unreasonable,
particular
60
time,
days or less.
Trustee Gavin is asking to amend her motion that was on the floor. She's the initial person that made it. She would like to amend her motion to approve staff report S3, setting a deadline of 30 days.
60 days or less.
60 days or less. Is there a second or support to that?
Second.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Trustee Gavin and supported by Trustee Doyle that we approve staff report S3 with the hard deadline of 60 days or less.
For what, though?
For the response being received, Trustee Gavin?
Yes.
For the response being received.
Like an update to the board or what?
60 days that you'll have to clarify because it's your amendment.
And to bring forth the recommended firm for approval within 60 days or
Oh,
less.
okay. So she's recommending that we put that Dr. Buss brings forth the recommended firm within 60 days or less. So that amendment to the motion for the approval of S3 is on the floor by Trustee Gavin and supported by Trustee Doyle. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report S3 with the noted amendment?
President Robinson,
I'm sorry, what's your question?
Sorry, I'm trying to.
So what she is doing is voting, she's recommending, she has a motion on the floor for the approval of staff report S3, but she's amending the resolution so that there is a 60-day or less deadline that he has to bring it before the board. That was made by Trustee Gavin and supported by Trustee Doyle.
So does the original motion,
She made the original motion. So while there's an original motion on the floor, she has the opportunity to amend her motion. It's her motion.
so the motion that she made in Angel,
Supported. She's
It's no
asking
longer
to, correct. So right now what we're voting on is amending this to include the 60 days or
Go
less.
Back and vote on section 3, just right.
I'm sorry. We're gonna keep this thing moving forward. What we are doing right now is voting on staff report S3, whether we want to amend the resolution to include a requirement that Dr. Bus brings the RFPs back to the board for approval within 60 days or less. That's the motion on the floor.
Okay.
Okay. Secretary, is there another question?
So we voting on the amendment or we voting on the original motion? That's what everybody's at.
We are voting on the amended resolution, not the first one she made. So what we are voting on is staff report S3 with the inclusion of the 60-day or less deadline.
Okay.
If you are an individual that does not want to have, and I think that's maybe what you guys are asking, if you do not want to include the 60-day or less deadline, then you would vote as you choose. And if it passes, it's in there. If it fails, then there's an opportunity for an additional motion to be placed on the floor with it as it is. But right now, the motion is the amendment.
Okay.
The resolution including her noted amendment. Everyone's clear? Or no? Okay, so Secretary Triplett, please call the vote for staff report S3 with the noted amendment by trustee Gavin.
President Robinson,
No.
Vice President Bowens,
No.
Secretary Triplett, no. Treasurer Creighton,
No.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
No.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion failed.
All right, so at this particular time, the motion to include the 60 days or less requirement has failed. Is there a motion to approve staff report S3 as it stands?
I would like to make a motion to approve staff report S3 with the noted corrections, the editorial corrections, mentioned before.
Support.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Bowens. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett. Please call the vote.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so at this particular time, Dr. Bus, what I will say is I have voted no on the 60-day deadline. However, we look forward to the update being provided and brought before this board. And I thank the board for being unified on this particular topic, and I look forward to further updates. We're gonna keep this thing moving with Dr. Bus providing, well, you didn't have to do anything additional for finance and updates, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're gonna keep it moving with our Chief of Support Services, Student Support Services, Mr. Corson, Chief Corson.
Good evening, Board. I am going to move quickly as several of the things that I brought before you have already been discussed in length, but we are looking to make sure that we do our due diligence for the master's facilities plan. So we are going to ensure that we have all viable vendors who could provide a master's facility plan and are willing. And so we are going to double back on the RFP and ensure that that is done with due diligence. If approved, well, you guys just approved it. So we are going to go forward with the RFPs for the boilers for the high school as well as for Fairplain East. Spring cleaning happened over spring break, and that included floor waxing and deep cleaning. As our treasurer has stated, there are needs within the cleaning and facilities portion of our operation. And so we hope to be able to present those to the board for approval to ensure that our custodians receive the needed supplies so that we can make sure that our buildings maintain the cleanliness that everybody is so proud of currently. We also were able to fix several items that we had to wait to make sure that the buildings were unoccupied or less occupied, and one of them being the damaged drain in our technology office. Facilities help desk numbers for the past month were 43 open, and 34 closed. And so I'm just providing that update so that you can keep that in mind. Moving to technology, our Power School servers have been updated to keep our SIS, Student Information System, stable and secure. I know that they are starting to begin the scheduling process for next year's class loads, and I know that within Power School, they are working to deploy SSO, a single sign-on, to make it easier and more secure for our student information system. Testing equipment and software has been deployed, and as of right now, we don't have any technical interruptions for this testing season. The team is currently working on network documentation of new switches that I was referencing last meeting. And so those switches, we are proceeding with the placement and the update of those, which should help with the load balancing of all of the internet activity within our district and where our devices are located.
Can you speak a little bit louder, sir?
I may. Athletics, the girls' basketball all-conference section. This is the Lakeland Conference. The first team is Jemiah Jordan, Desiree Kyles. The second team that was selected was Cabrina Mays, and an honorable mention goes to Janiza Wright. Boys basketball all-conference selection for the Winters team was, first team was Brian Gillespie and Grant Gonderzak. Second team was Antoine Callahan and Montel Hobbs. Congratulations to those select student athletes. For our spring sports, the track and field team started strong against at Aquinas College in an indoor meet. Coach Gillespie was very happy with the early season meet. The girls softball team will take the field under new head coach Randy Loggins, and their first game was scheduled for April 11th, which is today, against Berrien Springs. Baseball, the Tiger baseball players started the season on April 4th at St. Joe. And linked in this presentation is the April athletics schedule for everybody to be able to peruse when you are available. Lastly, family and community. I just want to highlight that we did have a good turnout beginning with our community roar. And so this last week, we had 10 students sign up for summer school. So that is gaining momentum. And I just want to encourage our families to continue to come out and join us at the community roar locations. We have 3 this coming Friday at the Bus Complex, Vineyards Apartment, and the Harbor Flats Apartments. And then we are beginning preparations for the launch of a summer youth golf careers development program in partnership with the Whirlpool Foundation, Harbor Shores, and Point O Woods. And we are excited to have our students have the opportunity to get employment and be able to continue exploring different careers that will hopefully be able to tie back into our CTE program, specifically the hospitality and tourism that we're looking to integrate into next year.
Thank you for your update. Were you getting ready to go into your staff report?
I was going to pause for
Okay,
questions.
any questions for Chief Corson?
I didn't Desiree, didn't she make all state? I think Desiree Kyles made all state.
Mike,
In
I want you to speak.
Didn't Desiree Kyles make all state in basketball?
She may have. I can double check and make sure that she gets the.
That's a very prestigious
Yeah,
honor.
we will
And I
make
think
sure
you guys
that.
did post it on the website. Also, this Saturday, I think with the baseball team and what have you, I think it would be nice for us to look at that baseball schedule and some of us to go down and check with the baseball, find out their games and go down and support. People don't really support it as much. And Mr. Crosby, Coach Crosby, I think Coach Carlton Brooks, somebody, they are really doing some great character development with those young men as well. Doing a lot of work. And the Sams family, the John Claiborne Sams, our baseball field is named after John Claiborne Sams. And his family is flying in this Saturday because they're doing a dedication. They're flying in from Atlanta. And the reason I know is my vice president of the class of 1978 and best friend. That field was named after her father. So the Sam's family will be here this weekend. I don't know if we can check with the athletic director. He should have given you that information so that you guys could report this information, you know, from the athletic department. So this Saturday, I don't know exactly the time. Can you find out that information from the athletic director? Or even if he knows it going on? Or can somebody please let me know what time it is?
All right, thank you. And then Dr. Corson or Mr. Is it Doctor?
It's not Dr.
Okay, Chief Corson, you can proceed with staff report SS1.
All right, thank you. We were able to confirm that she was named All-State, so the correction for the record that she was named All-State. Moving to the staff report S1, we did put out a bid for lawn and trim service out into the community, and we reached out. We received the proposals and reviewed them with the facilities director and the superintendent. After careful review, we have the staff report for you. Reason for consideration, this spring, the district requested bids for lawn service for 2023 with possible extensions, facts and analysis. The district requested bids for lawn services for all sites with lawns. District staff posted the request for bids on state website, published in the Herald Palladium, and sent letters to over 30 lawn service providers to invite them to bid. The district received 3 bids, and these were open in public accordance with board policy. One bidder did not provide the required bid security. The other 2 bidders offered pricing that was close to the other's proposal within 8%. It is recommended that the board award this work to the lowest bidder. The motion below will award the mowing for all occupied and unoccupied sites to A3 Property Management. Policy reference 6320 purchasing. Strategic plan reference facilities and operations. Benton Harbor Area Schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to award the lawn service bid for 2023 as follows. A3 Property Management, mowing, edging, and leaf pickup for all occupied and unoccupied board-owned sites. That the board authorized the superintendent to extend this award for up to 1 additional year through 2024, contingent upon satisfactory lawn service from the respected vendor.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report SS1?
So move.
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Treasurer Creighton. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
A quick comment and then a question. Comment is, this is the cost savings to the district, so that's exciting. And then, the question is, are we voting on a 2-year contract or are we voting, when you slid that in at the end, I just wondered, it's a little icy.
Okay. So this is a 1-year contract with the option to extend. This is what we had previously with Scott's lawn service. And so this is the same language that we have used previously for this type of contract.
So if it's extended, it won't need another board vote, is what you're asking?
For it to extend, the superintendent may extend it for 1 additional year without a board vote.
Can I ask?
You have the
For
floor.
A3 properties, it says the dump fee, is that if people are dumping trash and stuff on the, I'm looking at the.
The dumping is the disposable,
Right.
the disposal of the leaves and stuff.
Or
Correct.
it's like cleaning up like trash that people throw or dumps
No.
on our property.
No, when you are doing maintenance of the lawn and facilities, you will have waste that will be produced for like clippings and other things. And so that dump fee would be to take those away from the
Okay.
property.
Okay.
Secretary Triplett.
As we stated in the committee meeting, I don't know, as we stated in the committee meeting, I don't know if it is against the law in Benton Harbor to get these leaves off these fences and get these leaves off this property. Every time the snow melt, it still look like it's November. So I really would appreciate it if you all would make sure that the leaves stuff are done. That's important to me. And we must inspect what we expect. And it does have a clause in there. If they're not doing it, then we can change. And I will be on it as chairman of the facilities committee. I will be on it. I don't want to see a leak.
I was trying to make it through the vote, but the comments went longer than expected. Go ahead, trustee Gavin.
Just a quick question. Is the company that you're proposing, is it a local company? Do you know if it's within our district, a company that resides within our district?
I don't believe the company resides within our district. I believe the company A3 Properties is from South Bend.
Okay, I asked because when we pay local companies, their taxes come right back to us. It's like a recycle thing.
Right.
But thank you for answering that.
All right, if there's no other questions, Secretary Triplett, please call the vote for staff report S1.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
trustee Doyle,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Chief Corson, next we're going to proceed to Chief Baptiste Waddell for the 2023-2024 Benton Harbor High School Course Selection Guide revisions. And I know that we have an accompanying report that is T1. And so I have to step out for a quick second, but if you could kind of go over what your revisions are. I don't see them specifically outlined in the resolution, but I just want to make sure that everyone understands what they're voting to change. Vice President Bowens is going to chair until I return, but hopefully I'll be right back.
Make it quick.
All right, thank you.
Secretary Triplett wouldn't even let me get up a second ago, but I'll be right back.
Thank you, President Robinson. Good evening, everybody. To go over the changes that have been made in the course selection guide, the updates that continue to take place. The original updates were to add courses to the guide so that the high school could get with scheduling, as Chief Corson just spoke to. And so now we're at the point where we are making sure all of the credits, all of the timelines for courses are all aligned with a day-to-day schedule that we're looking to implement in the fall. So the items that were either adjusted, we did take out the Latin. We did remove Earth Science, that is an 8th grade course. All of the traditional courses like English, mathematics, those that would be given every single day for a year have all been adjusted to show yearly timelines and not semester timelines, and credits have been adjusted to match that timeline of the course. And then we also did add Swahili to the course selection. And then, of course, the page numbers had to be adjusted once all those changes were made. So are there any questions on that before I read the staff report? I can be a little bit more specific if you like.
Can you tell, oh, I'm sorry, can I?
The chair recognizes Secretary Triplett.
No, I don't want to speak, no. Okay, so can you please tell them about, when we're going from the block scheduling, we're going back to the regular?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Can you please go back, can you explain to them what we're doing? We're going back to 6-hour schedule.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
Starting,
so let them know, starting in the fall.
yes, correct. Starting in the fall, we're going back to a traditional schedule where students will see their teachers each day for approximately 60 minutes to 70 minutes each course day, like a regular, a traditional schedule. It looks like the last couple of years, possibly because of COVID as well, there was a block schedule that was taking place where students had like an A-B schedule and they would see their teachers every other day. So we're going back to where they're seeing their students each day of the week.
I would like to thank you for that, because during the pandemic, when we made the adjustment, that was only supposed to take place during that time, because we did talk in curriculum how block scheduling wipes out your fine art department. It wipes them all the way out. And that's what destroyed the Benton Harbor Tiger Marching Band, our vocal music department. We went to block scheduling because our kids could not take those classes during school. And so we had kids that were coming to band after school. And when they did that, it literally destroyed our fine arts department. And that is a part of our strategic plan. That is a part of the goal that we are supposed to be working strongly on our fine arts division. You know, it breaks my heart to walk down this hallway and not see a concert choir, madrigal, Octavia choir, men's glee club. It breaks my heart to not see a symphonic band and all of these different things. And that's what we had. And again, that's why sometimes you will see me with my attitude or the way that I feel, or I'm not trusting of situations and circumstances because of this. And our kids are very talented. And that brings out what it did for me what it did for me in my life. Learning the 7 last words of Christ in Latin, as a senior at Benton Harbor High School. And our concert choir #1 rated in the state Division I at solo and ensemble. And our kids not there. I'm trying to talk, y'all can look at the clock and y'all gonna make me snap on y'all. I'm sorry, I'm keeping-
14-1.
Yeah, you get ready to get tested on your roll up in here, cause you talk all that, don't say anything.
Point of order.
Might I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I recommend, let's be right that.
Yeah, where it says demonstrated proficiency, they are allowed to test out of their class? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They can test out of classes prior to taking a course. If they take a course and fail it and they want to test out, they can still do that and test out. Yes, that's what that means.
Good job.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve staff report T1.
Before we do that, I do have a question. I see that you guys are doing Swahili. Here's a question on that credit. So say, for example, a senior is taking that course and they move to a different school district or move away. Is that credit no longer transferable or?
No, the credit is MDE approved. It will be MDE approved across the state of Michigan, even probably across state lines, but it is an approved world language course based on the pupil accounting manual. I've read it a million times. I made sure everything is lined up. I've got it all. So yes, it is approved. It is an approved MDE course.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to approve staff report T1.
I move to support staff report T1.
The motion has been supported by Treasurer Creighton and second by Trustee Gavin. Secretary Triplett, can you call the roll? Please expeditiously.
We don't do questions, comments, or concerns.
Trenton Bowens, no. Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Now I want to go back. Angel. Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Right.
That was
Keep going.
one.
Yes, you can
Okay,
keep going. sir.
Thank you. So thankfully, we just approved the course selection guide. So now we can approve the Swahili curriculum. And so you see attached the curriculum that is for beginners or intermediates. Obviously, a majority of our students probably will start at that beginner level. But the course is going to be laid out to talk about linguistics of Swahili, the culture of East Africa, the experience of, living in another country. So it is very well laid out. And then the course book that we will be selecting is Key Swahili. Key just is dialect. Every language is a dialect. So that is the course that has been the textbook that has been recommended to use for this course. I can read the staff report next.
I just want to let the record show President Robinson is taking over the meeting at 8:49.
Thank you. You may proceed.
So today is April 11th. Submitting for board consideration, the Board of Education shall adopt this new course that has been approved, Swahili World Languages. Facts and analysis, the board shall consider adoption of curriculum that has been approved. The list shall include courses offered by the district for credit or grade promotion and shall be used when determining which courses may be included in membership for state aid and purposes for auditing purposes when examining the membership counted for state school aid on the count days. The list of approved courses shall include traditional offerings and courses offered through other means, such as experiential learning courses, online courses, and all courses offered in shared time programs under appropriate provisions of the State School Aid Act. The list of approved courses shall include all extended learning opportunities associated with each course and a description of each such opportunity. The list shall also include a description of the content of each approved course and documentation related to the course approval, including the list of approved courses for membership purposes. Policy reference 2210 curriculum and development, strategic plan reference learning environment. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, maintain, and implement with fidelity a multi-tiered system of support that enhances the culture and learning environment. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor area schools Board of Education votes to adopt a new course in Swahili.
Before we proceed, I would just like to note that we need to wrap it up because the superintendent's hands and joints are locking up over here.
I make a motion to approve staff report T2.
Second.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Gavin. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
You have the floor.
Will this course be virtual or, and will it be difficult to secure an instructor?
No.
Oh.
As long, I mean, she has to apply and go through the interview process, but there's somebody that's ready.
Oh, perfect.
May I ask for, sorry,
You have the floor.
point of information, who is the prospect?
We can't.
I don't know.
Because here's my question. I have business dealings with someone that I know that teaches Swahili, and I want to be ethical in making sure.
Well, so
That-
right now, what you're approving is the course itself. There,
They
the
have to-
hiring of a
Okay.
particular
We'll have
staff
to
is
approve
not
it
what's
later.
on the floor.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments?
I do want to say to you.
In the mic?
I do want to say to the Board of Education that we did, this is one thing that we said in the curriculum committee to make sure that this was, this is world language and that our students would get credit. I mean, that it would be acknowledged as a foreign language.
That's good.
Yeah, so, and that was definitely assured, and that's what it is. And sometimes sometimes we struggle with things that are of us. And so we said we want to also be culturally aware and expose our students to all different types of culture. So we definitely are working on our Spanish, identifying teachers and stuff for Spanish, but this is something that if our kids want to do this and have an opportunity to do it, I'm just so happy that it is there. So thank you so much.
Amen.
Okay, and I would like to ask, being that there are some pretty cool courses that we're adding, can we utilize some form of social media promotion on our page that tells families and students that these are new courses that we offer? Because some students might really be excited about what's coming in the upcoming year, and that might help us with reclaiming and retention of students. So you guys could
Will
think that
do.
through. All right, so if there's no other discussion, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for who made the original? Treasurer Creighton and Gavin.
Gavin.
Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report T2?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. 2 yes, a yes and a yes for the pause.
Y'all get petty.
Continue, sir.
Oh, I'm calling the roll, right?
Yeah, you're calling the roll.
Point of order.
I'm throwing shade, but God, I was calling the roll. I'm going to spin over there and stare. Okay. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Excited, yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. So thank you. Next, we have District-Wide Professional Development Advisory Committee, which is staff report T3.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm gonna move quick. All right, so district-wide professional development days, they have been approved to be student instructional days if the district has in place a professional development advisory committee. This is a retroactive application, so we can do it after the fact. So qualifying professional development may count as hours or days of pupil instruction if a district-wide professional development advisory committee is appointed by the Board of Education. The committee recommends up to 8 hours of professional development. And so the advisory committee, as it stands today, we have Delandria Patterson, I knew I said that wrong, I apologize. Delandria Patterson, Heather Mueller, Brenda Terrell, Dr. Kyle Kroll, Tamara Spiegel, Dawn Frederickson, and Elizabeth Austin. I'll read the staff report real quick, if that's okay. And so again, today's the 11th of April. This is in regards to the District Professional Development Advisory Committee. A reason for board approval, the Michigan Department of Education states a school district may count up to 38 hours of qualifying district provided professional development for teachers as hours of pupil instruction if a district-wide professional development advisory committee is appointed by the District Board of Education and recommends at least 8 hours of PD, professional development. Facts and analysis, Benton Harbor area schools will use 5 pupil instructional days towards district-provided professional development during the 22-23 school year. The committee is currently composed of a variety of grades and subject matter specialization. The committee is actively seeking a parent committee member as well. Policy reference, none. Strategic plan reference, communication, Benton Harbor area schools will engage and inform all stakeholders to maximize district support. And then the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the formation of a district-wide professional development advisory committee.
Is there a motion to approve staff report T3?
I make a motion to approve staff report T3, and I would like to volunteer to be a parent community committee member.
All right. Is there a second or support?
Second.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Gavin. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I look on here, I'm confused when I look at 2022.
It's retroactive.
Sorry. Can we see the report? Can you put
He
it-
want to stay here.
Yes.
Can y'all pull it over? I'm not gonna say nothing, just pull over.
He wants you to pull up the report again. He has a
The report.
clarification.
As soon as I open my mouth, click, ding. Hey, so is that for the facts and analysis, the Benton Harbor Area Schools was unified pupil instructional days for the district provided professional development during the 2022, so this is retroactive.
Right.
So we have.
So I'll be doing it again.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll do it at the beginning of the year next year.
All right, thank you.
My question that I have is, I understand that it's retroactive, but the hours that we've already done, they count even though the committee is now, just now being approved?
Yes. Yeah, we just have to have documentation for the state if we ever get audited. That's all we have to have in place.
All
But that
right,
is
well, let's
correct.
keep it moving. Secretary Triplett? Can you please call the vote for staff report T3?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Trenton Bowens,
Vice
Vice
President.
President Bowen.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm looking at this. I'm sorry. Ronaldo Triplett, I disrespected myself for you. Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, thank you so much to Chief Waddell for your presentations provided. And I'm just curious, the staff report T1 pass unanimously?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't present, but I just want to vote that
Yes.
I supported as well, even though it doesn't count on the record. So we're gonna move forward with human resources updates, and we're thankful to have Mr. Marvin here with us. I always struggle with how to pronounce the last name. McDermott. Here with us, he's going to provide staff report H1 and staff report H2 regarding separation of employment and new hire.
Okay, reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relations with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the Board of Education, it's submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 3140 and 4140 Resignation of professional and support staff. Strategic plan goal, none. Employee, Lorinda Robbins, Director of Special Education, separation of employment by means of resignation. Recommended action is that the Board of Education, the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
So moved.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Secretary Triplett. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I have one. Have we yet to post the position, or were we waiting for the actual acceptance of resignation?
Waiting for the acceptance of resignation. I have an interim person serving until we were able to accept and then post.
So the effective date says June 30th for 2023.
That's correct.
She's using her vacation time.
Well, we won't discuss that more. We don't want to say too much regarding personnel matters, but. All right, any other questions or comments?
Can
Still
I
on the
add?
mic
Can
whispering.
I share?
You have the floor,
Yeah,
yes.
once approved, we can now post. So that's, I think that was a question. Yes, once approved or board approved, then we can post.
Okay. Trustee Gavin and then trustee Vice President Bowen.
I'm really I didn't hear, Dr. Butts, did he say he had did he say he had an interim person? Or did I hear that wrong?
No, ma'am.
You
We-
did not say that. Okay.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, I did say that.
You
We have someone to just step up, just as Mr. McDermott is stepping up for our CHRO. We have someone internal just handling the duties until we can get it posted.
So I'm concerned about the effective date. If there's a person taking this person's position or doing the role, why is the effective date June 30th?
Yeah, so that would, this employee submitted their resignation date to match in line with the end of their contract. All central office, or I should say non-bargaining, no, central office staff contracts end 6/30 in line with our fiscal year, which will start again 7/1. So this employee, if approved, would have worked their contract.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
becomes the
Are we
personnel.
saying that?
So with the questions that we're asking, I want us to be very careful and not going too much into a personnel matter at the table. And I'd also like to remind our trustees that there should not be side conversation at the table and your whispers may be picked up by the mics. But go ahead, trustee Gavin.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just trying to understand. So the effective date of the resignation is not until June 30th, but the employee is not required to work until June 30th?
No, can't share too much, just to protect the district. But if at any time an employee is on leave, there are federal guidelines we apply that I should say that parameters that allow them to still secure employment. The employee listed has presented their letter of resignation and their effective date would be, if approved, 6/30.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, Secretary Triplett, please sit up and call the roll.
So when can you ask
Thank you.
in the HR meeting?
We need some
Okay, here we
explanation.
go. President Robinson,
Y'all get silly.
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
No.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
No.
motion carried.
All right, next we have staff report H2. And I'm gonna pass it back over to Mr.
McDermott.
McDermott.
Submitted for board consideration, To approve the employment of staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis. It is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation for the hire of the following personnel. Policy reference is 3120 and 4120. Employment of professional and support staff. Strategic plan goal reference is personnel and leadership. Benton Harbor area schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. Recommendation for hire, Ms. Rebecca Banyan, teacher, speech, and she will be at central employee, but staffed at Our Lady of the Lake Catholic School. Recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area School of Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand this one correctly. I know that we have so many students that are not attending school in our district. One of the requirements is that we provide the funding for staffing for those kids that are our area students in other districts, correct? Is this
That is-
one of those employees?
That is correct.
I'm not too much of a fan of that requirement, but I know we've had to do it before. No disrespect to Miss Banyan. I'm sure she's a wonderful teacher. Trustee Bowen.
I understand the process, and I just will say it's amazing that this school is offering speech. And it's a requirement that we used to be requiring in Benton Harbor. I hope one day we see a speech teacher for Benton Harbor area schools.
But I think it's basically because they're.
Special education speech.
Right.
Speech therapy.
Part of it is school of choice. And then we have so many residents that attend these different schools. And funding has to support that, still providing them education. So that's how we got here.
So when our kids go out to other districts, we not only lose the funding per student, per pupil count, we also pay additional monies out to districts that they go to. So it's extremely pertinent that we retain and reclaim our students. Trustee Bowen, Trustee Gavin, I see you marinating down there. Did you have a comment?
Marinating, baby.
I just have to say, through the chair, that this makes no sense to me that our district, struggling in the way that it is or surviving in the way that it is also required by the government to pay for what looks like possibly a private school. This is something that I think at some point we need to stand up to. We need to push for this law to be changed. So I have nothing against this person being employed. I think it's great to employ folks. I just am against the policy.
Understood 100%. I was in shock my first time at the board table when it came before us. So if there's no additional comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve staff report H2.
So moved.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton. Is there a second or support? Is there a second or support? The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Bowens. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns?
Just a comment, for clarity, it is like, the title funds that actually follow the kid. For example, if you got a kid that live in Benton Harbor Area Schools District, but attends another school, it is the responsibility of the school district to provide any support or special education services to that kid. So that is just how it is. The money follows the kid. And so oftentimes many schools don't actually petition Benton Harbor area schools for the money. Like you don't see a lot of districts doing it, but the private schools do it because a lot of times they don't get that other money like the other schools. And so you might see one of the private schools doing it, but the other larger districts, you hardly ever see them actually do that.
All right, Secretary Triplett?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, I would like to abstain. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
No.
no.
All right, so next item of, thank you. So, well, you've sat down already. Thank you so much. I mentioned this to you in your HR committee meeting, but I just want to say that I appreciate you for standing in the gap. We hired you to go out and retain, to find and recruit staff, and you've had to step in a greater capacity. And I know I said it in committee, but I want to say it here before the board and before the public that we appreciate you.
Yes.
And what I told him is that sometimes the Lord will put you in a position to train you for greater. So I thank you for what you've been to us. And I know the last meeting we had, I could tell you're a little bit surprised at my move, but I appreciate you and all of the efforts that you've given. Secretary Triplett.
And at the next meeting, if we don't have the CHR, you sit over there. You gotta sit at the back of the little table. And you doing that work. Sit right over there in one of them seats. Thank you.
Someone else at the table made that suggestion as
Yeah.
well,
Yes, sit over there.
in the last
doing the work.
meeting. So I agree. I just didn't want to, I try to mind my business, but we're grateful and we thank you. So can we give them a clap, please? Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and proceed. I'm sorry, Vice President is telling me to move forward. Okay, so the next item of business is one that's very familiar to us as superintendent search. The last meeting that we had, we discussed our interest in the public forum. I'm hoping that the board is available for May the 2nd for us to actually do that. That is a Tuesday. It is the first Tuesday of May. Does that date work for everyone? We would do it at 5:30.
What time?
That's a Tuesday on Blossom Time Week. It's not a
But last
weekend.
time we could move back 2 weeks back.
Okay.
So it's a little bit further back. It's on the
So
second.
Tuesday, May the 2nd. Okay, and then I would also like to, 5:30 standard. 5:30, yes. And then I am also going to request support as your president. I'll be reaching out to one or two board members to help me with the development of the agenda for that particular evening, so we can make sure that we get everything accomplished that we need to as it relates to the community forum regarding our superintendent, the office of the superintendency. But we have a confirmed date of May 2nd at 5:30. I would also like to reach out to a particular facilitator that I was given the contact information from, is it MASB or another organization? MASB, to come in and kind of assist us with that conversation with the community and kind of get their insight as well. So that is the date that we have set. Does anyone else have any additional old business?
Madam President,
Yes.
with that particular meeting where you bring in the community,
Mhm.
we had, Liz was to contact those people. We need to review that list of who were part of strategic plan
Mhm.
as a base of people coming, and we were also supposed to allow us to see that list. This is for our community, so it might take off, Baron Risa, take those people out, those other partners out, and it just be basically our community. And then it would give the, new board members an opportunity to, add, because when we came up with that list, we were the ones that we brought people to the table to be a part of it, and then it still was open to the public because they could be on the side. So we probably need to get a quick look at that list, who's gonna be on it, who takes off from Benton Harbor.
You've just signed yourself up to volunteer for the agenda for that evening.
Madam President,
You have the floor.
I was just going to recommend if invitations can be made, like me a
Like a
flyer or
nice
something, and
invitation.
then we can just
Send
kind of
them out.
forward it out to
Okay.
whomever we want to invite. I think that'll streamline some of that planning to create you know what I'm saying? I know that we need a list, but if we can just get a formal something to send out electronically to our stakeholders, I think that'll also be helpful.
Okay. Any other old business?
Madam President,
You have the
can
floor.
you indulge me? I meant to mention that I thought it would be a good idea if the city was a partner in our partnership agreement. I noticed that the city of Benton Harbor is not on there. And I was just thinking that it might make sense for us to be a partner with our city.
So when you say the city, are you meaning the mayor and commissioners? Or
Yes,
just
our city
city
government.
government?
Yeah.
Well, we would have to see if that's something that they are willing to sign themselves up for. I can't foresee that they wouldn't, but just as we conduct business, I don't know what their policy or procedures would be for actually committing. So can you maybe try to reach the mayor?
Yes, ma'am. I have a meeting with them Thursday morning.
Okay, awesome.
Also, I have lived in the township for 50 years. And the township is one of the largest portions,
I
it's
agree.
larger. The city of Benton Harbor proper is not the only
Agree.
municipality. So, our supervisor Kathy Yates, she've extended herself and we need to bring the township and the city
Agree.
into it because that's where we have schools as well.
Okay, so we're gonna proceed with our agenda. Thank you all. May 2nd at 5:30. I'm going to employ Secretary Triplett to assist me. I may slide up into somebody else's inbox as well. We're gonna proceed with new business. Secretary Triplett, I know that you mentioned to me previously, it's not really new business, but I just want to make sure it's on everyone's radar that there is a retreat that is coming up. Liz, do you have the dates of that retreat handy? Is that the flyer we have here?
The MASB conference.
Okay, so we have, just a reminder, we have Spring Institute for 2023 in Lansing, Friday, April 28th through Saturday, April 29th. It's in-person learning opportunities. And as always, if you all are interested in signing up, you have to let Liz know. However, it looks like the main hotel accommodations cutoff date was March 27th. Liz, do you know of the alternative hotel?
And, but I know everything's full, so I mean, the sooner the better.
Okay,
I don't know where the hotel is. I don't think you're at the main hotel.
who has signed up so far?
I think he's
I have.
Oh, okay.
Mine is at the
You're at the main hotel. Are you sure?
man.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I did? I was able to get him, but it was full. I had to find a special.
All right, so we're gonna proceed. Anyone here for open public comment? I know majority of you were here since the start. Any additional comments to be made? Is there anyone that talks to the board about the boilers that would like to come back and say great job on the vote? No, just kidding. You have the floor. And were you present when I read the opening statement, the public comment statement? Okay, so I won't read that again. Go ahead.
Hi, Michael Hoy. I know these meetings kind of go long, but just a while back, we almost didn't have a school. And I want everybody to remember that. So the work that we are doing here really means something. So we almost didn't have a whole school system. I know these meetings go long, but as I look past, this is my classmate also. It's great to see him here. So it's just good to show that support. After hearing the financial reports and the facilities report and the RFP that's going out for the boilers, I think it supersedes. Why is there a petition out here now? It's a potential petition to recall the Vice President, Mr. Bowens. I know it has to go through a proper hearing and then it has to go out through whatever, but I just don't understand how, because one person voted no, but realistically, 3 people voted no on that proposal at that time at the last meeting, why this one person is being singled out. And seeing that we're moving things forward, I just don't know where we're at with this. I just don't understand why a person in this community has chosen to single out Mr. Fenton Bowens, the Vice President, who's committed to this school board like everybody else to move things forward. And it just belittles me to see things kind of go a little bit backwards or sideways right now, as people are working so hard to keep things moving and going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comments? All right, hearing none, we're gonna proceed to superintendent announcements and comments.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to do a congratulations to Trustee Rocket Martin for obtaining her 2022 MASB awards, Level 1 Certified Board Member Award, and Level 2 Award of Merit. Also, like to extend a congratulations to former board member Matt Bradley for his achievement of Level 3 Award of Distinction. Both of these are testaments to the power of professional development and commitment to our community. We have another bus tour on this Friday that Chief Corson already spoke of. Also, we're looking to break funding for a CTE coordinator from 31A, 61A, and ESSER 3 funding for a sustainable time period of 3 years to get our CTE program up and robust. So we're working on that. And that concludes my highlights for this evening.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. We are trying to get,
I wanted to ask him who gave him that information with the MASB certification.
it would be
MASB
sent-
email.
yeah, MASB
Email.
sends it, because I know that Vice President Bradley announced on Facebook, or former Vice President Bradley posted his certifications. He's level 3 now.
And I'm level 2. I didn't see my name mentioned on anything in there, but you all can check the record.
He's level 3. but
You
he's
may
on the
want to
board.
check your email and see.
I've seen it. I'm level 2. Maybe there was a mistype.
All right, so we're gonna keep it going with Trustee Doyle. And we are on board member announcements and comments.
Oh, no comment. No comments? No.
Okay, Trustee Gavin,
When we come back to me, I need to collect my thoughts.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Don't have much.
please
to
speak
say.
in the mic.
However, I would like to thank everybody for the work that they're doing. And also, I would like to thank the students at Benton Harbor High School for the college tour, the Historical Black College Tour. They were able to see college in action firsthand. And they were also offered a lot of benefits and a chance to really understand that they can go to college if they want to. The students that talked with them and to them gave them good advice, but one special thing that they told them was just do your work. If you do your work and don't procrastinate and every day do what you're supposed to do, you will succeed. There's money in place, there's all kind of help in place, so our students can be successful. And on the back end of that, if our curriculum and our high school teachers, we have to just demand, you got to get this done, put some writing in there, put some things in there that so that when you get to college, you'll be prepared. There's no reason why our students can't excel and do as well as anybody else's kids in any other district. I think that was it. Oh, for the senior project, I have a few ideas. If I can talk with you later, I'd like to help you or be a part of that if you don't mind. And basically just, we do have a right to vote as we please. Our votes are based on the information we have, the background knowledge that we already have, and the facts that we get. So when we make our decisions and when I make my decision and place my vote, I'm voting with integrity and I'm voting my heart and I'm voting that I believe is for the best interest of the kids of Benton Harbor schools.
Thank you, Trustee Rocket Martin. I would just like to notate that we should be done in the next 5 or so minutes. So if everyone could please put their phones back on silent, because this phone's going off everywhere so we can get through. It was something, I don't know. We're gonna proceed.
That's the timer.
Oh, that was the timer going off. Okay. Well, I know it was a phone dinging over here about 20 times.
Say something, that's where they click the time.
Okay. Trustee Gavin, are you ready?
I think it's interesting that I'm usually the first to vote and the last to vote, but the first to speak.
I normally
wanna
go
thank-
trustees and then go up.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. I especially want to thank the community members who spoke about our boilers. And I want to assure everyone that the information was here. These boilers were 75 years old. We received about 46 million from the state in CARES and ESSER funds in addition to our regular budget. There's no way that we would put something on the table without having done that due diligence. And there were special meetings. There was a special meeting that spoke to that. And so, you know, when I look at pictures of our children in very uncomfortable conditions, that pulls on my heartstrings. I care very much, and this is not to say no one else does, but I'm speaking for myself. I care about that. That matters to me, what happens with our children. And I just want to encourage our leaders to make those decisions as swiftly as we can when we have the information. If we don't have the information, we ask for the information. That's doing our due diligence. That's being a functional and effective board. And this is not to put anyone down, but if I don't see that happening, then I am going to speak up about it. That's my role as a mother, to do that, as a grandmother, to do that, as a member of this community. So I am going to do that. I'm not going to stop doing that. I'm going to tell the truth about the votes and how I see them. And everyone has a right to vote how they want to. Have about 13 more seconds here. I want to congratulate Miss Lucille Johnson and the Tech Tigers. Really excited about what you all are doing. And like I said, I appreciate those folks who came out. And I think it's important for Benton Harbor to start standing up. And if elected officials are not doing what they're supposed to do, then we're supposed to respond. Thank you.
Okay, we have Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you. I'm going to yield my time to read my devotion. I have been praying that, you know, we make some changes and make them fast to help improve the quality of learning for students, the workplace for staff, and the politics for board members and elected officials. This is the day that I have made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Begin the day with open hands of faith, ready to receive all that I am pouring into this brief portion of your life. Be careful not to complain about anything, even the weather, since I am the author of your circumstances. The best way to handle unwanted situations is to thank me for them. This act of faith frees you from resentment and frees me to work my ways into the situation so that good emerges from it. To find joy in this day, you must live within its boundaries. I knew what I was doing when I divided time into 24-hour segments. I understand human nature, and I know that you can bear the weight of only one day at a time. Do not worry about tomorrow or get stuck in the past. There's an abundant life in my presence today. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Next, we have Secretary Triplett.
I would like to say that I appreciate working with the Board of Education. This board is functional. This board is knowledgeable. And this board is we're doing our work. There are policies. There are procedures. There are ways. It has taken me 2 years, to be honest with you, because this is not something you can shoot from the hip. And you can't come to this table knowing everything. You cannot. This is like a living document. I feel comfortable with our leadership. I feel comfortable with our board, with every last one of these board members that's sitting at this table. I am grateful for our president in with her mild demeanor and the way in which she leads us in turbulent times. To Dr. Butts and his staff, everybody don't know behind the scenes what you guys have endured in this transition. And I want to tell you publicly that I thank you. I really do. But we must always inspect what we expect. And it's okay. We are not going to always agree. But when we talk about putting children first, then my life work, it requires a lot. It requires us to die so that they might live. So again, thank you all. I'm proud to work with this board. Is that your phone, Lee? No. No, but thank you all so much, and seriously, and I like our board. I love our board, and I hope that we all remain on this Board of Education until our terms end.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Vice President Bowen.
Greetings. The fight is never about grapes or lettuce. It's about people. The fight that we're dealing with in Benton Harbor is fake media, fake Facebook posts. Donald Trump conspiracy theorists are alive and well in Benton Harbor. And if it's about a fight with truth and dignity and what's right, deal me in, because I like a fight and I will go down fighting for what I believe in. When others walked off, quit, I never quit. So I'm excited about the reality of fighting for what's right, the truth, and facts. So if we want that, let's bring it on. Also, I'm not ashamed to vote how I feel and what I feel is right for the district. When the people voted for me, they voted for me to be a new voice for a new beginning. And I was number 3. I see often on Facebook we're criticized and fake media and fake conspiracy theorists put up false hopes and play emotions with people. And it's actually causing more damage to the district. We are better than that, and we are stronger than that. This weekend, we had over 400 youth in Benton Harbor meet us at Union Park, and it showed me what the community is all about. It was nice. It was Blacks, whites, Indians. We are not a Black community. We are a community of all people, white people, Indian, Mexicans, and it was nice to see the diversity and inclusion. So I am excited about the status and where we're going as a district. I am not ashamed to defend what I vote for, defend what I say, and believe what I say, and I'm not afraid to go down and fight for what's right. And that's what we're in. We're in a fight for reality versus conspiracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Bowen. So I've been sitting here marinating on what I would like to say. And I think that we did a great job at navigating through our board meeting today and being a unified board with great conversation and discussion. However, it does saddens me that we get to comment and there's certain undertones of division. I understand, as stated, that there are going to be times when we disagree on votes, but I have always attempted to model being respectful and supportive of every board member at this table, as well as every administrative staff. I am very protective of everyone. I have no personal vendettas or biases against anyone on this board, and you all have seen me vote and fight and wrestle with others at the table to protect your individual rights. And I do that in order to ensure that everyone feels as though the board president has their best interest at heart. And so in me choosing to speak about what I see taking place on social media, it is to attempt to get the personal bias out of the perception of another person's vote, because it gives the impression that we are not a unified board and we do not have to always agree. We do have to be able to work collectively as a Board of Education. And when you paint this picture that you have individuals on the Board of Education that are doing things like selling the district out or things of that nature, who would want to come to a school board where individuals are saying that somebody on the board does not have the best interest of the children at heart? I cannot say that there is anyone on this board that I feel does not have the district's best interest at heart. We may disagree on what the best direction is to get to a certain end of our journey of being successful as a district. But I do not doubt that everyone at this board table is for the best interest of the children. And I am really strongly asking and encouraging you all to put the personal concerns and biases that existed, and I'm gonna go over my 2 minutes today, that existed prior to us joining as a board, and put the district and the respect for this board as a unified entity first. If there is a vote that happens and someone votes against you, the easiest thing to do would be to say, what is it that you need, trustee, in order to feel comfortable supporting me at this vote? It's a very easy conversation to have. And if we would focus on working mutually together and supporting each other and realizing that we're one team and there's no division in the team, regardless of how we choose to vote, I think we would be stronger together. That is not attempting to limit anybody's voice, anybody's opinion, or anybody's authority as a Board of Education member. But until we as one Board of Education learn to work unified and move forward on behalf of this district, we are going to continue to struggle, because leadership starts from the top down. And I am beyond over everything beyond us working together in the best that we can in order to do what we need to do on behalf of this district. So at this particular time, I had updates and comments that I wanted to make, but my spirit led me to put that out on the table. I don't care if HP gets that quote and runs it tomorrow, but I have had it. And I am asking that you all work through and become collective as a Board of Education so that we can do what we need to do on behalf of this district. So being that there are no other issues on this agenda, I am going to ask that Secretary Triplett please I'm calling for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The motion has been made by Treasurer Creighton. Is there a second or support? The motion was made by Treasurer Creighton and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Excited, yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried, Madam President.
The meeting is officially adjourned at 9:37 PM.